Hello, I'm Andrew Tidwell,
And I'm Matthew Tidwell.
and this is Mind Map. All right, the first topic for today is some follow up. In the past few episodes, we've been talking a lot about Samurai Jack.
I think just because we're so excited about this new Samurai Jack coming out, I think we're just kind of talking about it a lot and kind of finding news that's related to that. And
Well, there's been a lot of news to come out.
yeah, they've been
So
doing a good job at keeping it fairly under wraps, but they've been doing a lot of like news and updates and hyping it up a bit.
as we get closer and closer, more and more content's coming out, and it's showing that all of our hopes and dreams are coming true.
Yes. So recently, a new teaser came out for the Samurai Jack. It's basically I want to say like a 1 minute clip of Samurai Jack just fighting. He's doing a little fight scene against like these bug robots. So it's very reminiscent of the old show with the same fighting style and same kind of animation to it. It looks exactly like something that had come out of the original show, which is good. But it does have the new Jack. It has new Jack fighting without his sword, which is really cool. And
I still have not yet watched this.
still pretty great.
Um,
You should watch it.
I think
It's like a minute long. You could probably watch it right now if you want.
I'm going to watch it right now,
Okay.
and I'll give you my live thoughts on this.
Okay. Live thoughts from
First thing,
Andrew.
he's on a. Is this Jack that's on a motorcycle?
Jack is on a motorcycle.
What?
So his new thing is that he has a motorcycle.
Oh my God, this art style though.
Yeah.
It's everything that I missed about. Oh, oh no, this is so good.
Yeah. It's everything from the old show basically. Like it's the same style. It's
Dude,
the
his
same kind of
armor
like fighting.
is so cool.
His armor is really cool because he has like this like shinobi kind of man.
Yeah, it's like a Ronin armor.
Yeah.
He has a gun. That's new.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's given up on a lot of the kind of samurai tropes that he had back in the original series.
Yeah, because this takes place like in the future
Yeah.
at some point. I mean, obviously the old show did, but this takes place later in the future where
Mm-hmm.
all the portals have been closed and stuff happens.
Yeah.
We've mentioned it before.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem to. I don't know. Even the black armor kind of symbolizes it, where he isn't really the same man that he was in the
No,
original series.
He's not, which is really interesting. How
Dude, and he has a beard.
he has a beard, which is also
Oh,
fun.
why is it such a short video?
I know.
It's so good though.
Yeah, so it's basically just him fighting for a little bit, but it's so good.
Did
And
he
also it's interesting. Wait, what?
did he lose his sword at the end?
I'm pretty sure he did, but I don't know. I
original
don't know at the end
series?
of the series if he
Mhm.
lost his sword or not, but in this continuity, I think he's lost his sword.
Like, he
at this
doesn't
point.
have his sword.
Because he
at
doesn't
all.
have a sword. I don't know exactly or for certain,
And
but
I
in
doubt
any of
he
the
would-
clips they've shown, he doesn't have his sword.
I doubt he would throw
He has that
sword
weird
away.
staff thing.
Yeah, I doubt he would throw his sword away because that was like his one defining feature, and it was his one thing that attached him to his previous life.
Yeah,
It was the only thing, really.
basically, it was the only thing he had, and it was this magical mystic sword that
Mhm.
could. That was the only thing basically that could actually kill Aku.
Also, his the one thing I mentioned it before, where he's wearing this like black armor.
Yeah,
That's a huge change from in the original series where he wore his like white robes.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, not to get too symbolic on you,
no, go all symbolic.
but like he wore white in the original series and continued to wear white because
Yeah.
it kind of showed his purity to this dark and
Yeah,
this like
that,
he was
through all
the
this madness, he was still the
he was
light.
the untainted thing, like the untainted constant through all of this.
Yeah,
And now that he's wearing this like black armor, like I don't know if this is just one clip of one episode, but like even his hair like being
Yeah.
unkept and
through the
everything.
multiple clips that I've seen, it is constant where he's wearing this armor.
Yeah, which means he's been corrupted by this world. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of like symbolizing his.
He's become a part of it rather than lost wanderer.
Yeah, he's not constantly fighting against this future. He's part of this future now.
Yeah, he's kind of stuck in it, and he's sort of accepted that.
I don't know if he's
I don't know if
accepted,
he's accepted
it.
it.
We haven't
Yeah.
watched it yet, but
It's not out yet.
either way, that was an awesome.
Yeah.
This tells me that it's coming back in the best possible way.
Yes, and I'm glad to hear that it's actually coming back in this regards. So
Another thing that's coming back, this isn't follow up, but this is kind of the next thing we want to talk about. DuckTales.
So I originally mentioned to you that there was a DuckTales reboot that was going to happen. They
Mhm.
released, I think late last year, that they were going to do a new DuckTales series in the style of the sort of in the style of the
the new Disney shows.
Yeah, the
So,
new,
like, the new
Mickey Mouse shorts.
Yeah.
The Robert and Zeddy kind of shorts like that. So they were basically, but now that you've mentioned that there's a trailer that came out with that.
Yeah. So today, we're recording this on March 2nd, and as of today, there's a new trailer out for DuckTales, and it is fantastic.
So I have not watched this trailer yet.
Yeah.
But,
So this
and
is an episode.
I honestly have only
us
watched
with
a very
live
small amount
reactions.
of the original DuckTales. So, because I'm a bit younger than you are,
I
you kind
watched
of grew up on
all
it.
of the original episodes. It was so the one thing about DuckTales is it didn't last very long, so it was almost like a mini series. Like it had a continuity between all the episodes, where there were some. It wasn't like a Netflix style or Game of Thrones style mini series, but it was still like it had continuity between everything,
Yeah.
and it was a great show. Like as a kid, it. Because we don't have like an Indiana Jones style show, it was as close as we had to like
You were a big Indiana Jones fan.
swashbuckling, like adventure. And going back, I've tried to go back and watch it again. It's super cheesy. It is totally a kid's show. But back as a kid, it was exactly what I wanted. I wanted adventure, to see these cool new places, and it also had some like supernatural elements in there. So you would have like
mystic temples.
Like mystic temples or werewolves. I think there's one where they go to Scotland and there's werewolves. And yeah.
See, I've only watched a little bit of DuckTales, like from other people referencing it, because it's slightly past my time. Like I remember it would be on reruns on TV, but otherwise I really didn't have an access to it, other than I think Toon Disney occasionally. Even then, there are other shows on that would rather watch, like Gargoyles and stuff like that.
So you haven't watched the trailer yet.
So I have not watched
You should
the
watch the
trailer.
trailer, and I want to hear your opinions on this trailer as it's going.
I think we're gonna do the same thing as last time, where I'll watch this live and you'll get kind of my candid reaction. I feel like this is gonna be a theme for this episode. Is we're gonna have a lot of back and forth watching things.
Yeah.
And seeing how the other person reacts. But let's see. What I like this. I like this animation style actually.
It is really cool.
I like how it is. Also, they actually. I like this. So. I'm kind of just taking it in right now, but
it's I watched it like 2 or 3 times because it's pretty short and there's a lot to take in. But all the old characters are back, and if you keep watching, they kind of implied Donald Duck has some investment in everything that's going on, which he didn't have in the original show. Yeah,
originally Donald just kind of dropped off the kids and disappeared.
Well,
if I remember.
The story is he's I don't remember if he's joining the Navy or if he's joining the Peace Corps, one of the two. And he's leaving the country, basically.
Yeah.
And that's why he has to drop Huey, Dewey, and Louie off with their uncle? Yeah, uncle. Great Uncle Scrooge.
Their Uncle Scrooge.
He's a great uncle, I think.
I could see them doing Great Uncle with how things were, but I think in the original he's Uncle. He's Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge.
With an A.
I'm really glad that
also,
they got
this
rid
new
of
theme song, it just kicked in. It's pretty
so
great.
Good.
I like this a lot.
It's enough of a throwback that it's like it's basically the old theme song except better.
They made it new.
It's
and
really
updated
good.
it.
My one thing with this show is I am so glad that the triplets don't have the duck voices.
I'm glad they don't have the duck voices because those were grating. But I'm not sure how much I like these new voices because they're kind of like too mature. Like I feel like they need to get younger voice actors.
Yeah, they are a little bit on the mature side, but I don't think that says. I don't know. I don't think that's a huge issue.
It's not as distracting though, so I just watched that and it's still the humor from the show. Like at the very end, it has Gizmo Duck and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, we're flying." Oh no, the ground. And the camera just pans.
Is that his name, Gizmo? No.
The pilot duck. I don't know what
his name.
It's not Gizmo.
Gizmo's
the robot duck.
He's the
from
Robo
the moon
Duck.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't watched the series. Was he in Tailspin?
No, he wasn't. I was thinking
that's a missed opportunity.
I was thinking the same thing, but no.
He's not in Tailspin. Tailspin's just a weird concept.
Tailspin is only the characters from Jungle Book.
Or new characters because
that's a thing.
Because the one thing that everyone wanted from Jungle Book after they watched that was we want them in planes.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for this new DuckTales. So I like how they introduced Uncle Scrooge and how he's like, I used to be an adventurer, but then I got money, so I stopped being an adventurer. I was gonna go the Skyrim route and say I used to be an adventurer, but then I got money in the knee, but that doesn't have the
Somebody
same ring
threw
to
coins at his knee really hard.
he
I
tri-
can't
he
find
tripped
this
on a
guy's
bar
name.
of gold.
Oh, Launchpad.
Launchpad.
Launchpad McQuack.
There you go.
That's
McQuack.
his name.
There.
The so I couldn't find that on. I didn't look very hard, I'll say, but I
Yeah.
couldn't find that on the DuckTales page. I had to go to the Darkwing Duck page to find that
Is
because
he in-
he's in both.
Oh yeah, I guess
like
he is.
He's like Darkwing's sidekick.
He's like his pilot or whatever when
Yeah.
he's not working for Scrooge or something like that.
Something
I
like
think.
I don't know if they.
I never watched Darkwing Duck.
I don't know if
it's
the
kinda
two
same
shows
thing.
have any crossover.
I think the only crossover is with Launchpad.
Some of the characters, I think Gizmo's in the show as well.
I don't know. I didn't watch
It's
as
been
much
such a
Darkwing.
long
You
time.
also watched a lot of Darkwing Duck.
So the original showing for Darkwing Duck is 1991, which
Yeah.
is why I just watched the
reruns,
the
yeah.
reruns later on.
Like again, Toon Disney was kind of where we watched a lot of this stuff.
Mhm.
But again, I was too young, so I didn't have a lot of interest in it.
Man, was
I
that
was-
such a good show though?
Yeah.
Just-
But I'm excited for this. The art style was clever because it was still that kind of newer, updated
Mhm.
view and like more modern, but it also kind of like you could still tell who each character was and things like that, which was
yeah, and I think that it means that they can have this cool new art style, but at the same time, you still get that old feeling of like hand drawn animations because they're not hand drawn anymore.
good. No.
They're computer generated,
Yeah.
but they still have that old hand drawn feel to them, and they're
Yeah.
they're still
fairly
stylized.
loosely drawn.
Yeah.
In the way that it's like a loosely drawn kind of formal
Mhm.
style, which works really well.
But I think it looks really like it has an art style that's really unique and really interesting.
I think it'll work. I think this will be a good series. They bring back a lot of the old characters that are gonna be good. Like I noticed that.
Do we know
Uh,
how many episodes this is going to be?
I don't know how many episodes the new DuckTales is. Again, I didn't know exactly. They're probably gonna do, I would imagine, at least 2 seasons. I would imagine just because DuckTales as a property is popular, but I don't know of an official number. So unless we can pull that up
Okay,
really
the
quick.
First season will consist of 21 half-hour episodes and 2-hour-long specials. Now, keep in mind, this is from the Wikipedia page. So somebody could have just added this based off of hearsay, but
Yeah. But still, 21 episodes.
that would be awesome.
So they're probably what I imagine they're gonna do is they're gonna do a 2-part opener and 2-part season finale,
That's what I'm thinking as well.
and that's probably where they get the specials, and then they'll just do a full-on series, which is a good amount.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
21 episodes is really good for.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls probably had 30 episodes in its entire run.
Let me check that. They had
So the fact that these
they probably
are,
had maybe 40 episodes total.
yeah,
'Cause I want to say it was about
the final season was really short though.
the final season was really short. That was for weird reasons.
Mm-hmm.
They were basically like, we're done with the show. We told the story. I personally think Alex Hirsch just wanted to get out early
Yeah,
before he got trapped in.
there's a lot of people who really don't want to get trapped into these major
Yeah.
animation networks.
So that's what I'm not entirely sure about. No one really knows.
Does it
But,
say on the
yeah.
Wikipedia page how
I'm
many
trying
episodes?
to find how many episodes. There's 2 seasons
Wait, there's only 2 seasons?
of Gravity Falls.
I thought there were 3. I guess the second
No,
season just lasted a long
season-
long time.
Well, season 1 and 2 just took a while to come out because the way that scheduling worked with
Mhm.
that. Season 1 had 20 episodes.
Really?
And then season 2 had, I'm on IMDb right now.
Yeah.
Season 2 had 20 episodes as well. That's if
Okay,
you
so
split
there's-
up Weirdmageddon.
So
into
there's
the
40
three.
episodes basically. That's
Yeah.
for 2 seasons. That's pretty good.
For 2 seasons, a 40 episode run isn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Gravity Falls as a show could have used another maybe half season, and it would have
Yeah.
been a lot more fleshed out. If they had 25 seasons in the
Mhm.
final episode or in the final season, they had 25 episodes, that would have been better because it would have given more development and stuff that I think the
Mhm.
show needed.
There wasn't
some
enough lead
areas.
up to Weirdmageddon.
There wasn't enough lead up to Weirdmageddon, and there wasn't enough aftermath from Tale of Two Stands and that sort of. Once they
Yeah.
introduced Grunkle Stan's twin,
Mhm.
Stanley or whatever.
Yeah.
Once they introduced him, they kind of rushed to the end, and I feel like if they did a little bit more time to develop him as a character, could have worked better. Maybe
Yeah.
not as a character, but kind of.
No, they could have definitely fleshed him out as a character more too,
Yeah.
because he was a very one-dimensional character that didn't have I mean, they didn't even use him for a lot of episodes. He just was there
Yeah.
when they could have done a lot more interesting things. Like, heck, he wrote all the books. Like, there's probably some weird things going on that we didn't get to find out about.
Yeah. Or maybe some parts besides the one, the episode prior to Weird Mageddon where he shows Dipper around doing stuff.
And they go find the
adventure
alien stuff.
Yeah.
And it's
Do
just
more
like
alien antics stuff.
And it's like there's probably tons of stuff like that they could flesh out and have as side stories even.
Yeah,
but
they totally
didn't.
could do, but they don't. Also, in unrelated news, they now I don't know if they've announced or released them yet, but Gravity Falls pop figures.
They're coming out.
They're coming out with those.
Dude.
So I'm not a big pop guy. Like I'm not like the biggest in that, but I'm slowly growing more and more.
Like
I've been
there's
wanting them
certain
for a while.
characters that I really want, and man, if they have a good selection, imagine.
Right now they have Dipper, Mabel, Grunkle Stan, and Bill Cipher.
Ooh, Bill would be cool.
And then they have variations of Dipper and Bill.
Okay, the one if Stanley ever comes out, I kind of want Stanley or Waddles.
Waddles would be a cool one.
If Waddles ever comes out, I'm buying that thing immediately. Or
sure.
Seuss as well.
Seuss would be interesting.
It's kind of funny. I want all the side characters.
I was gonna say.
I don't really care as much about the main characters.
Well, they have like normal figurines of like Waddles and stuff, but those are kind of like cheapy.
Yeah,
figures.
they're just
I don't like them as
normal
much.
figurines.
They're like kind of small and not very.
Like I like
interesting.
pop figures for certain characters. I would have to see these though. Like
yeah.
I have the Fallout power armor. And I really like those. Those are really cool.
I have the power armor. I have the Finn one, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's a bobblehead, and also it's in a stormtrooper armor.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, the bobblehead's kind of neat. And then I have a Captain America, which has a shield. Like I like the pose of that.
Yeah, that one's cool actually.
That one looks cool. And then I have Moana, where she has her paddle.
Yeah, with Pua and Hey.
No, mine doesn't have that, but there's another one that does.
I thought yours did.
No, mine is the staff. If you don't get the staff, then you get the little Pua figure.
Oh.
And then if you get the big giant like Voyager thing, then I think you get Hey. But I don't know.
Or whatever the chicken's name is.
It's Hey.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I could have sworn that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it is. Off the topic of pop figures, I hope that it treads new ground and doesn't do the same things. Like my only worry is that they're gonna do like let's just remake the old episodes, but it doesn't look like they're gonna do that.
No, it doesn't. Not
like
that dragon one wasn't in any of the old episodes at all. Like that dragon scene that's in the trailer, that isn't in. There's nothing even close to that in any of the old episodes.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I think it looks good, and
it looks promising.
I think Disney's taking this seriously.
I think with an IP like DuckTales, because they realize that there's a big nostalgia boom for that. I'm not sure how accurate they are on their nostalgia boom and how many people are excited for it. I know you're excited for it.
I'm excited for it.
I know a lot of people are excited for it. But I feel like with a DuckTales game, with the remastered DuckTales game that came out, like, 2013, 2014?
Yeah, a few years ago.
A few years back. I feel like I'm not sure if they should have done it closer to that or something like that, but who knows?
Yeah, I think there's enough investment in this that they want to get it right. Because all the voice actors for it are, like, actually really famous
They're pretty
people.
big voice actors.
Yeah.
So
and
I'm excited for that.
If you want to see who all those people are, you can watch the sing-along trailer for the theme song.
Yeah, so before the trailer came out, they did like a sing-along with the theme, and they had all the voice actors go and sing like a couple lines from the.
And you'd be surprised at the kind of names that they got for this show.
Yeah,
it's kind of incredible.
Because they got like Dave Tennant, they got a bunch of other people involved. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I can't remember most of them off the top of my head, but there's a few where you'll watch it and you'll be like, wait a second,
how'd they get this guy? Or like, is he still doing stuff?
Yeah,
it's just weird, kind of interesting to see. So.
The next topic that we have, I know nothing about. Literally nothing about this next topic.
Okay, so a lot of you probably don't know the person, but know of his shows. So Butch Hartman created The Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, Tough Puppy, and now he's creating a fourth show, Bunsen is Beast.
Bunsen is Beast.
Is a beast.
Is a beast.
Yes.
Okay.
So the way that the show is, from what I've read, is basically there's this human monster world. So there's a human world and a monster world, and a monster goes from the monster world to the human world and befriends this guy. So Bunsen is the monster, and his friend has to kind of hide him from the rest of the world.
So it's Danny Phantom, except with phantoms that people can actually see.
Well, no, it's more like My Gym Partner's a Monkey in some regards.
Okay, I
With
can kind of see that.
sort of with like the he's kind of an out of place character, and
Yeah.
people are trying to get him out, and people don't like the odd one out character. But
Can I just say that this guy has a track record for like dual worlds? So he has Fairly Odd Parents, which has the real world and fairy world and all the other
Yeah.
like alternate dimension worlds.
like Pixie World and stuff.
He has Danny Phantom, which had the spirit world and the human worlds.
Yeah.
And I know nothing about Tough Puppy.
I've only watched a couple episodes of
So,
Tough Puppy.
I'm
there's not a,
assuming-
there's not a split world, but there's sort of like a good versus evil,
Yeah,
sort of
well, because
like corporation, because it's weird. It's like a
isn't
spy
he?
show.
Yeah, it's like a spy show
So
with a
there's, like-
talk with an anthropomorphic dog.
Anthropomorphic everything.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Anthropomorphic like New York.
I've probably only seen like 30 seconds of an
I
episode.
think you've seen
though.
30 seconds. I've watched like 2 episodes, like
Okay.
way back when it first came out, because I was like, oh, there's a new show. I should watch it. And then I
Mhm.
watched it, and I was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a weird show. It has its perks, but it's interesting. And then Buzz and the Beast, I'm not like super excited about, but I'm just surprised that he's making like a new show. Like
I mean,
he
you
has
can
3 shows under his belt.
You can only make Fairly Odd Parents for so long.
Yeah, I know,
before
but
you're
they're
tired
still
of
making
it.
Fairly Odd Parents. Is the
Is
crazy
he still
part.
in charge of Fairly Odd
Yeah,
Parents?
he's
Is-
still totally involved
oh
with it.
no.
He's
why,
still totally involved.
why is he still doing that?
See, no one knows.
This
I'm
it's
not
like
sure if it's like Nick's forcing him to do it or what.
it's
but
like SpongeBob.
he needs
like
to take a break.
SpongeBob, they still have I'm pretty sure do they still have all the old voice actors for that? They do, right?
SpongeBob, I'm not sure. For Fairly Odd Parents, they have most of the old ones. I don't know if they have Tara Strong. I think they do sometimes.
But like to do a single show for so long.
Yeah,
And
it's
to
crazy.
be a voice actor for those kinds of things.
Although to be fair, with like Fairly Odd Parents, there's only like 4 voice actors.
That's true.
Like most of them do like 6 or 7 voices on the
They
show.
better get paid really well
I hope they do.
because like I
'Cause
don't
they do a lot of work.
I can't imagine having to do that kind of work.
It's crazy. But basically, he's making a new show. It's basically this guy has to hide his monster friend and try and be like, hey, monsters are cool. We don't need to persecute monsters or whatever. And then this other person at his school is trying to like be like, monsters are evil. You need to stop having monsters. Monsters are bad. Stuff like that.
That's a great summary, brother.
I
I'm
only read like the
impressed.
Wikipedia and only heard a few things from like other
They
people.
probably haven't announced a whole lot.
Well,
and
no, it's coming out pretty soon, so they've
Oh,
announced
really?
a good amount. I
is
just
there-
haven't.
Are there like trailers out for it?
There's no trailers, but interestingly enough, Butch Hartman and people at Nick created a like 2-3 minute video crossing over all of his IPs. So they do a
Really?
crossover with Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom,
When did they do
Tough
this?
Puppy, fairly recently. I haven't watched it yet,
Huh.
and I know you haven't watched it because you didn't.
We'll link it
hear
down
about
below.
It's linked down below, and if we want to watch it live, we can.
No,
If
we'll
not,
we'll
it doesn't
pass
really
on
matter.
we'll pass
We'll
on
pass
that
on watching
this
that
time.
live. But yeah, it's just interesting to see that he's making like another show, and it's just a weird concept.
I want to see what it's like. If it's anything like Tough Puppy, I'm probably not going to watch it. But
I feel like it's gonna be
if it's
something
like
along
Danny
the lines of.
Phantom, I'll watch it.
I think it's gonna be something along the lines of more like Tough Puppy kind of fun, just from the style of animation that I've seen. I'm not the biggest fan of the style that they're going for with this show.
They've been slowly like
It's very very like
changing-
childish.
They've been
kind of
slowly modifying
style.
the Fairly Odd Parents style for all the shows. Like they used to be really like they used to kind of have a hard style to them. Now
Yeah.
everything's been softened up. Like all the hard angles are a little bit less hard.
Yeah,
and I don't
that's
know.
happened with a lot of cartoons and just the industry as a whole.
Mhm. I think
So-
part of that's because they're doing digital animation now.
I think
Before
that's
it
part
wa-
of the case.
before it was hand animation and it was like so you could get those kind of hard lines and it's easier to do to just say we'll do soft lines
Yeah,
because you don't have to change your individual art style, you just change how it looks in the
yeah.
program.
Then I feel like it's a lot easier to, when you're moving and changing shapes, it's a lot easier to do that with a circle than with a square.
Yeah, to have
Because it's
rounded
harder to
objects.
it's harder to flatten a square than it is to flatten a circle.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more fluid and natural that a lot more people like, and the style's kind of grown
Mhm.
that way as of recent events. But I'm interested to see how the show goes. I'm probably not gonna watch a whole lot of it. I'm just surprised at the fact that he's still doing stuff. This guy's been doing Fairly Odd Parents for like forever,
For basically forever.
and he's
Since
making
the beginning of time.
yeah, he's still making that, and he's still making another show, which is crazy. And who knows? Maybe he'll do more. Maybe he'll do another.
He'll have 5 shows under his belt.
I mean, you might as well. Why stop
each,
at 4?
each show has 1,000 episodes, but
Not all
he
the
has
shows.
5 of them. Yeah, Danny Phantom only had like 4 or 5
Danny
seasons.
Phantom didn't. I don't know enough about Tough Puppy to say. Bunsen is a Beast has at least 1 season
Yeah.
coming out, and I don't know. I'm just interested to see how it goes. And
We'll just wait and see.
Yeah.
And we'll hopefully, I mean, I don't want any creators' content to be bad. Like I always hope that it's successful,
yeah,
but
I
still
don't have
have
any
my doubt.
expectations.
I have
my doubts.
doubts
and
and
have no expectations.
Yeah, that's
So.
how I feel. It's just one of those things. Like, if it
happening.
succeeds,
It's a
it's
thing.
awesome. If it doesn't succeed, it's like I mean, I didn't have any investment in his last project, so
Good for him if it succeeds. It doesn't really affect us at all if it does or doesn't succeed, or whatever happens to it happens.
because it's not like a Samurai Jack where it actually has and has had an influence on the way people in general look at
Or the
art
way
and
that we personally
television.
look at stuff.
Yeah. Because Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom are good shows. They're great shows, but they never had a huge impact on how we view media and how we think about, or even probably people in general, how people think about media and cartoons as a form of content.
Well, I wouldn't say that entirely, because everyone, I'd say that for us personally, that doesn't have that effect. But I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are really diehard like Danny Phantom fans, or diehard like Fairly Odd Parents fans. Or I know that Fairly Odd Parents was seminal just because of the humor and the amount of comedy that it got and had.
Okay, I can.
mean, it just kind of depends.
I'll accept that.
Yeah, for us personally, that's not how we view it, but I'm saying that there's probably someone out there who's like, man, Danny Phantom's the best show in the world.
Well, Danny Phantom is the best show, but it's also, but
I mean, like
it's the best show because it was a good show.
Yeah, they could be like it's super influential because it helped with like character development or something.
Not
like
because
that,
because it was a House of Cards or even Twin Peaks kind of thing.
It wasn't like a groundbreaking show. It was rather just a solid show in what it was trying to do.
Yeah. All right, moving from television to video games. I know we both, you not as much so right now, but I've been playing some Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
Battlefield is probably one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. I didn't hop on the Battlefield train until Bad Company 2.
Yeah.
But
which is a lot earlier than a lot of people.
But Bad Company 2 got me hooked.
Yeah.
I have not looked back. And especially since Call of Duty's taken this strange turn where they have this advanced movement system, which is cool, but there's been this huge gap in boots on the ground gameplay for first-person shooters.
Because Halo's been for now since like Reach, it's been a lot of jumping and flying around.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Call of Duty's now started to become parkour simulator.
And it's not because Halo is like sci-fi.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel the same. I don't feel, at least it fills the same niche as like Battlefield and Call of Duty.
I would agree with that.
Because those are like military shooters.
Yeah. They're designed to be more realistic. At least they were. Call of Duty it's kind of iffy now.
Call of Duty's just
Call of Duty's just weird now.
No
one knows what's going on.
I mean, not even the companies making Call of Duty know what's going on. It's just Activision, like, make us more money, print us more money.
Make more money, make something fun.
And they're just we are stuck with this franchise that is really old, and Activision doesn't want us to change things too much, so, yeah.
Well, they're fine with you changing things, but they don't have a direction, I feel.
Well, no, they're not. If you look back, they actually aren't that open. This is a side note from our topic, but for Activision, they're not very open to allowing people to change how the games work. The reason why the Respawn people, the guys who started Respawn, who make Titanfall, the reason why they left is because they were starting to get in a spat over art direction and gameplay direction. They originally wanted to turn Call of Duty into Titanfall and have that advanced movement system and that whole system in Call of Duty.
Call of Duty didn't want mechs.
And Activision said no.
Yeah.
We want boots on the ground. That's why Black Ops 2 is boots on the ground and not advanced like motion movement.
Yeah.
But then the next game in the series, and even Ghosts isn't, which is an Infinity Ward game that ones who were originally pitching it.
Yeah.
But then all the Infinity Ward guys who wanted Titanfall 2 or Titanfall left
Yeah.
to EA. And Activision was like, oh, we're going to keep with this. We're going to keep going this way. And then Ghosts didn't sell well. And then Titanfall came out. And Titanfall sold well.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh,
we messed
let's
up,
go
guys.
do that. And so
Yeah.
they just created, and then they were like, okay, Sledgehammer, you can go do it.
Yeah.
Because Sledgehammer was, I'm pretty sure Sledgehammer had the idea, and like they kind of came to the same conclusion. Wouldn't it be cool if we had an advanced movement system?
Yeah.
Like you can parkour and all these things. And finally Activision was like, okay, that's fine. You can do that. We're okay with that.
'Cause we
now.
know it works. It's safe.
Yeah, it's safe. That's the thing, is they want the safe option.
Yeah. Because they know it makes money.
Yeah, when that isn't how the industry should be.
That's
It's
how
frustrating.
That's the problem with most industries is too many people nowadays are playing it safe, and we need people who are risk takers.
Like DICE with going to World War I of all places.
Yeah.
I admire them for doing that, because I'm one of those people who I would enjoy a World War II game, but I think that World War II games are still pretty saturated.
Yeah.
Like we had so many in the early 2000s and like the late 90s that it's just, you can't go back. World War I don't think we have enough content for World War I.
Yeah. We hardly have any, at least boots on the ground wise.
Well,
There's very
based
few.
on anything.
Yeah.
There's hardly any games out there whatsoever, or even media in general, for World War I.
Yeah.
It's like the Forgotten War. It's called the Great War, but it's also probably
Forgotten
one
War.
of the Forgotten Wars.
Despite how massive it was.
Yeah. And Battlefield 1 does a great job. But what's awesome about Battlefield 1 is that it fills that niche, that like boots on the ground gameplay niche that not very many games have. And I think it's a great game. And
I enjoyed it a lot too.
So there's a new DLC coming out. Their first set of DLC.
Okay.
And when the game first came out, people were kind of upset because one of the major factions of the war, the French army, wasn't in the game. They included the Americans as one of the one of the three factions. No, how many factions are there? There's 5 factions in the game. There's the Italians, that means there's 6. I can't keep track.
I believe there's Ottomans anyway.
So there's the Ottomans, the Hungarians, the Italians, the Germans, the Americans, and the British.
Yeah.
That completely ignores one of the other more major players than probably like the Italians are a major player, but the French are much more important.
The French are probably one of the biggest forces in the
because
war.
they fought for most of the war. Like the Americans, sure, were Americans.
They had a big role at the
it's
end,
cool,
but it was at the end.
But it was at the end, and it would be really cool. Like, I mean, not really cool, but it would make more sense to include France in most of the game.
The biggest fighter in
the like considering, I think it was like 80% of the war was fought on French soil or something like that. Then just to throw them out, they're finally adding the French in. The first DLC is a French DLC. There's 4 maps, if I remember right, and 5 new guns, if I remember right on that as well. And it takes place all in France.
Okay.
And it adds new tanks, a new behemoth. So in the game, there's the behemoths. There is the train,
the blimp,
the battleship, and the blimp.
Okay.
And they're adding a new one, and it's a super tank.
Super tank? How does that work?
It is a massive tank. It is, if I forget the name of it, but apparently in World War I, towards the end, the French were like, we need to build an awesome, ginormous tank. Not necessarily to win the war, but it was more of like a morale kind of thing. Like, we can build this giant tank, and I think they only built a handful of them.
Yeah.
It is absolutely massive. If you look at it in game, it is insane.
Oh no.
But it's the first one that's completely like controlled by the user. Like the blimp
so
could
it's not
like
automatic.
fly around.
Everything in the game is automatic.
You could like move the blimp around, but it wasn't very useful because you didn't have like direct control over it. You kind of like told it where to float, and then it would continue to move as you were going. You're like, come on, just stay in one spot.
It would just be like, go in a straight line this way.
Yeah.
Basically.
And so, but this tank is completely user controlled, and it is insane. Look it up when you get the chance. In the show notes, I'll include the DLC information.
Yeah.
And you can see what all is in this DLC. It's insane. But the maps look great. I haven't played on them yet. For premium members, you get first access on the 14th of this month, and for everyone else, it's available to download and play 2 weeks later.
Which is interesting to see.
That's an interesting model, but I'm not going to talk about that really because I think that what the big thing is they're finally releasing DLC. This is the longest a Battlefield game has gone without DLC.
Yeah, because this game came out last year.
It's been almost half a year since the game came out, and now we're finally getting our first DLC.
Most Battlefield games get them like in the first 3 months or so.
Battlefield 3, it's either Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4 had DLC in the first month.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it was way too fast though.
Yeah.
Battlefield 4 had a lot of issues, and releasing DLC that fast was not good.
No.
But this is a little bit too long, in my opinion, for DLC.
See, I don't feel like that's too long. If the game has been solid enough and has kept a big user base, I feel like it doesn't need to have DLC that often.
Well,
if it's been able to keep the user
game
base.
has a good player base, but the problem is it's not the same kind of healthy player base that like Battlefield 3 and 4 had, because DLC keeps players wanting to come back.
Yeah, it brings new people.
There actually aren't that many maps in Battlefield. Battlefield 1, I should say. I think it's like 16 maps in the base game, which is really small. And there's a lot of game modes and there's a great story mode, but for the multiplayer and for a game that focuses so heavily on multiplayer, to have that few maps is kind of iffy, especially something where they're big, ginormous maps. And if you're playing the same big, ginormous map again, over and over again, it kind of gets repetitive to like walk the same thing over and over again. And I mean, the main thing with Battlefield is you get varied combat environments.
Yeah, I think that's the big draw of the game, is the fact that you have these different environments and you have these different squads where different things are happening. So you might be in the same setting, but one time you might be playing and you'll be tank charging with people. Another time you might be holed up in a building trying to defend it.
Yeah,
flag.
But having to wait this long for new DLC and new maps, I think is kind of ridiculous. I don't know what they were doing on their end, like why it's taking so long. Maybe DICE is just like swamped with stuff, because I know they're making Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure why it would take them this long.
I want to imagine why it would take them this long development-wise to come out with it.
Yeah, because it's only 4 maps.
If it's only if it's only 4 and one faction, then it's not a big deal. Like, there's not a whole lot that should take almost a year. Like
half a year. That's just crazy. But what they did do, so we've had this news for a little while now, and it's finally like people are able to test it. There's the playable test environment, or community test environment on the PC, where you can actually go in and test run all of them and provide feedback to the developers on how the maps are playing.
Yeah.
So that started, and I think it started last week. But because they finally announced the release date, like today or yesterday, which was also strange. They waited until after they already started releasing the maps in like a playable test environment
to give a release date.
Like,
that doesn't make sense.
What is going on with them right now?
Like, let's release the content, but don't say when it's actually going to be available. Like, that'd be me saying like, okay, I'm gonna cook like a meal or whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the meal, or here's the appetizer.
And then
when's the meal gonna be done?
Eventually
it'll be done, and then that's it. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, okay, here's the meal.
Yeah, the meal's
like 2 hours
the
later.
meal's coming in 2 hours.
Yeah, I'll be like, the meal's coming in 2 hours, like another day later.
It just doesn't make sense. To make up for it, though, I will say they did make up for it, because before we had no idea what any of the DLC was going to be.
Yeah.
When they announced the release date, they also dumped a bunch of information about what the next set of maps are.
Okay.
So they laid out the entire groundwork for how all of the DLCs are going to go. This leads me to believe that they have been... The reason why it's taking so long is because they've actually been designing all of the maps.
But see, that would make sense.
And so
if they did every single DLC.
So they've been putting the final touches on this one and waiting for all of the other ones to get pretty darn close.
Yeah.
To being done, so that they can just like flip the switch when the day comes and be like, okay, content's ready, done, go. But I'll go down the list and we can talk about what they all are.
Okay.
So the first DLC is the French DLC, like I said.
Yeah.
It's called They Shall Not Pass.
So like Gandalf.
Like
just,
Gandalf.
You shall not pass.
You shall not pass, you Germans. And then the next one is In the Name of the Tsar. And it is going to be winter in Russia. So winter combat in Russia.
Ooh, that would be exciting.
We don't know. I don't know if we have confirmation on where in Russia this will take place, but it's the like teaser image is a mountainous area.
Yeah.
So my thought it's probably either in southern Russia or up towards maybe Moscow. Not sure. Not entirely sure about all that.
It's not in the city though.
Yeah, and one major feature is if you look at the art, the guy is on horseback, but he has a spear. So that leads me to believe that spears might be coming as melee weapons in the game.
So jousting confirmed.
Dude, if they made a jousting playlist,
that would be fun. I would play that.
I want them to come out with a ton of, because it's cool in Battlefield. They have a bunch of different stats for all the melee weapons.
Yeah.
So like you have fast hitting melee weapons and slow hitting melee weapons.
Like clubs versus knives and stuff like that.
Yeah. It would be really cool if they made a melee only playlist. I'm sure with the server browser you could probably do that.
Sure.
And then you just have your melee weapons and then it's like chivalry. Except
I would love to
in
see horse battles.
Dude, horse battles would be awesome.
Every time I've played, it's only one dude on a horse. Either me getting wrecked by 3 dudes because I can't figure out how to turn the horse around.
Or you're like you're swinging wildly with the sword and you're like
and getting
hit
tons
something.
of kills somehow.
Or you're not getting any kills.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know how this works. That's how I play.
Or there's one dude running around the map constantly on a horse, killing everyone in his path.
Yeah, and you can't take him out. It's like, do you have infinite health or something? Because it definitely seems like it.
Like that's my experience with horses. Either the person who's playing is invincible, or the person who's playing is a complete potato.
It's awful.
Yeah.
So that's the Russian DLC. That's DLC 2. No release date for any of these except for the French DLC. And I actually am really interested in that because there's no winter maps so far. There's no snow maps in Battlefield.
It'd be interesting to see a snow map, and I'm sure the camo for that will be like people hiding in snow will be insane.
It's already awful. So being a colorblind person, Battlefield 1 is probably one of the worst things ever. I can count, like I can't count how many times I've been killed by some dude who has literally been standing in front of me because he looks exactly like the mountainside he's standing next. Because the game is either really lush green, or it's like dirt brown.
Yeah, or like dirt, like brown, tan kind of.
Well, because
like
there's
desert.
also the tan areas,
like
but those I can actually see people in those maps.
See, I'm the opposite. I can't. I have trouble on those maps because people look like rocks when they're sniping.
Those I don't have an issue with. It's the like Argonne Forest. I can't see anybody. I was literally 5 feet away from some guy, and I was just like walking around, and then I see his gun move, not him move. I see the gun rotate. I'm like, what the heck is that? And I look,
snake in the ground.
I look, and then I'm dead, and I'm like, oh, okay, it was a dude. How?
See, the only time I've had that happen a few times. I feel like probably not as often as you, but most of the time it's usually because some dude's hiding in like the grass or like in a blind corner where you don't see him.
Oh no, for me it's like they can literally be standing in front of me. I can't see them.
It's not that bad for me.
It's really bad. So
usually I'll turn a corner and there's like 3 dudes there, and I'm like, well, I'm screwed.
So like this is why I stand in trenches most of the time and I die, because trenches are awful.
Because trenches, you're stuck.
Yeah, you're like, I can't escape, but I can at least see people, so I'm just gonna stick.
So
with
at
this.
least you're shooting at stuff, but then everyone else can run around and move around.
The grenade spam is also awful in the
I
game. That's another thing.
Enough.
That's for another topic, because that's a whole thing.
That's whole gameplay. We don't need to go into that yet.
All right, DLC 3. It's called Turning Tides, and it's an amphibious DLC.
I was gonna say, if it's not, that's an awful name.
So I don't know. I can't remember what the actual battle is that it's based off of, but it's based off of a battle that happened at I think it was an Austrian port, and it is. There's very little details about it, other than the fact that it's amphibious. So one team, in theory, should be starting in the water and fighting their way to shore. Basically.
So it's like sort of like 1943.
Sort of
in some degree.
Except that instead of being like a beachhead, it's like a port.
Okay.
So it's like it's
like
a fortified fort.
Yeah.
So it's more like Battlefield 3.
It's
or
more like
4.
trying to rush a map.
Yeah. So if you ever played like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 especially, where you're like, everybody hop in these boats.
Yeah.
And you drive from your battleship over to the
To the base.
the main base. Yeah,
That-
I think that's what they're probably going to go for, which is cool because
So would it be like an attack defense sort of thing? Or I guess it would sort of be.
I'm interested to see how it works for the operations mode, because the first line of defense would technically be like they move inland, and then you move on as you move your way through.
Yeah, they move up the
I think it's like a river.
Yeah.
So it's the port leading into at the mouth of a river.
Yeah.
And the goal of whatever this battle was
Go
to
up
go
the river.
up the river and work their way inland.
Yeah.
And it technically failed. The battle technically failed, but in the game, in theory, you could work your way down the river, which would actually be really cool.
That would be a cool mechanic to do.
Because they have some cool boats in the game. Did you know that they have a submarine destroyer, or a what's it called? A missile boat? I think that's what it's called.
I mean, I know they
No,
have
a
the giant
torpedo boat.
battleship.
It's called a torpedo boat.
Okay.
They have those.
They have
Like they're
those?
little like attack boats that have
didn't know
two
that was a
torpedoes on
thing.
them. I didn't know either until I hopped in one. Like
What?
like this dude was offshore on one of the
I think
Ottoman
the thing is, I'm
maps.
never in the boats. I've only been in the boat once, I think.
Yeah, so
other than the battleship.
he was like there, and like I was just minding my own business, walking through the desert, like right on the coast of the
Yeah.
water. I forget what the map was called, but it was one of the Ottoman maps.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I see on my map this like thing, this like boat shaped icon, and I'm like, what is that? And I look, and there's a boat coming my way, and he can't do anything because like it's just him in his boat, and all he can do is shoot torpedoes, which can't hit land.
Yeah.
So he's just sitting there. We're kind of like staring at each other, and then I managed to take him out, and I'm like, I'm gonna hop in the boat. So I hop in the boat, and then I end up doing the same thing where I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do anything. So I just rode around, and then the guy spawned in another
Yeah.
boat, and we had like a mini boat battle, which is just like,
Yeah. What the heck?
what?
That's the problem with the game is that they have a lot of water things, but they don't like. There's nothing involving water.
Well, they have a lot of cool little things in the game that you don't ever use.
Yeah.
Like there's even certain weapons where you're like, why? This is a cool weapon, but why does this exist?
Yeah.
Like there's one weapon I found. It's a sniper rifle, but it shoots pistol ammo. So it's literally the worst gun in the game. But you're
so
like,
it's the
this is
Python ACOG from Black Ops.
It's the exact opposite. It's like a sniper that's been converted into a pistol instead of a
pistol.
pistol converted into a sniper.
But it still shoots pistol ammo. Though.
Yeah, but it's a 44 Magnum at the end of
Okay,
it.
that's
So
fair.
it's still like a sniper. But this one is not. This one shoots like normal 1911 kind of
Oh,
bullets.
no.
So it actually has less damage than most of the pistols in the game.
But it's a sniper rifle.
Yeah, so you can hold like 40 shots, which is ridiculous.
So it's only good if you camp in one spot and try and snipe and only get headshots.
No. It has the same range as a pistol. So it
Why?
has the damage drop off of a pistol.
That is awful.
So
Why would you use that?
I don't know, but it's like
does it have like a
these are-
scope, like a sniper scope?
No,
Okay, then what kind of scope does it have?
it's just the iron sights. It's literally a glorified
that's
pistol.
That's not as bad.
It's a glorified pistol.
It's a glorified pistol, but I mean, it's not as bad.
It's just-
I was thinking like I was thinking an actual like sniper rifle where you have to like hold your breath to zoom in.
no,
and stuff.
no. You
Like,
don't
I was
have to do
thinking that, but like pistol ammo, I'm like, that is the worst decision ever.
The thing is, they have cool things, cool concepts in this game. And you're like, I'm never using these things.
Yeah.
Like those boats. Those boats literally only work on one part of one map. And
Yeah. I think there's another part. Like I think there's one. I forget which map, but there's one like very far back point that's on like its own kind of island, sort of.
that was the map.
No, it wasn't an Ottoman map. It was another.
Really?
No, I'm pretty sure it might have been an Ottoman map. It was one of the maps. There's like the two forts across from each other, and then there's like one fort further back, and the fort farther back has like a port attached to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty
It's
sure
like
that's
a
the
castle.
Ottoman map. Yeah, no, that's
Okay,
the
no,
Ottoman
that
map.
is Ottoman. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
then. You're right.
Yep. That's the Ottoman map,
Yeah.
and that's the one where I found the boat. That's literally the only one. So
Yeah.
the fact that we're getting some more DLC where we can actually use these things, I'm super excited
Yeah.
about.
More
Because-
ocean fighting would be neat.
I
even
wanna
though
know
World War
more.
One didn't have a lot.
I want to know more about what's going to get added in that one, but we'll see.
It's still a long ways, I'm sure.
And then the final one that was announced is called Apocalypse. And this one is going to take place in the major offensives of the war.
Yeah.
So like the biggest deadliest battles of the war.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what this DLC is
The proper
specifically
trench
for.
warfare.
Yeah, this is going to be like going over the top, fighting in the trenches
Yeah.
in like the Somme or those kinds of things where the Americans weren't there.
Yeah.
It's
That would be neat.
Like towards the beginning of the war,
Yeah.
these huge offensives between the two massive armies
Yeah.
where they just are fighting over literally meters
Yeah.
of land, like not even miles, just like one trench over.
Yeah.
Like, can we get that next trench? All right, let's have 100,000 people die to get over there. That's
It's
what this final DLC is supposed to be about.
See, that's what people have wanted from a
World War
War
I game.
One short shooter. Like that's why Verdun has the popularity that it does. Is because it's that kind of gameplay.
Yeah, because it's that trench warfare,
Yeah.
that really like close quarters, gritty warfare. So you kind of get an idea of how things actually were.
Yeah.
And none of the maps really have that. Sure, some of them have,
Some of them have sections where that can get like that
Mhm,
in
but
like
not
gameplay,
really. They're still,
but it's not structured like that.
yeah. If they do that with this last DLC, the Apocalypse
Yeah.
DLC, I think that would be really cool. The promo image for it is a dude with a gas mask, and literally, like, it shows the reflection of his the glass eyepiece.
Yeah.
And it's just like the world is on fire, basically.
Oh, no.
If you pull it up, you can see where it's just like there's tons of dudes and everything's on fire. So
no.
either this guy is just running through the blazing battlefield, or he's like lighting everything up.
Yeah.
This guy's lit.
It's lit.
This DLC would be lit. At least I hope it is.
I hope it's lit.
So that's all the Battlefield DLC that's going to come out, and I am super excited about it.
That all sounds very exciting. I haven't played a lot of Battlefield 1 recently, just because I don't have my Xbox, as I mentioned previously.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to be able to play that when it does come out.
Yeah, and
When did you say the release date for the French one was going to be?
March 14th is when premium players can play it.
Okay.
And then I believe it's 2 weeks later, everyone else gets access.
Okay.
Not everyone else, I don't think.
And like paid people.
Actually, I'm not sure, but I think I heard, this is just something off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure I heard people will be able to play on the maps, but you won't get access to the new guns, and you won't be able to access the new vehicles when you're playing on those maps.
That'd be fun. I don't know how honest that is.
think.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, because that I could have just heard that from somebody else.
That's gonna be my
Who heard it
yearbook
from somebody
quote.
else?
Yeah.
Who heard it from somebody else?
Who
Who
heard
made
it
it
from?
up?
Who heard it from? Nintendo.
Who
Whose
heard it
dad
from?
works at Nintendo.
Who heard it from somebody off of the NeoGAF forums?
Oh no. Not NeoGAF.
So
Anything but NeoGAF. That'll be cool though.
one thing that is coming out, though, all the DLC, we're gonna have to wait a long time. What we won't have to wait a long time for is Legend of Zelda:
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. I am so excited for this game, man. I am so excited.
I'm not
I'm not even getting the Switch, and I'm excited for this game.
See, I plan on getting the Switch at some point,
I do
but
too.
I'm not like super excited about this game. I don't know why. It looks really fun, but for some reason, like it's not engaging me a whole lot, and I can't figure out why.
Everything that I'm seeing for this game is showing me this is going to be like Legend of Zelda Skyrim hybrid that I've always wanted.
Yeah,
And
and it looks like that, and I'm really stoked for that.
it comes out at the end of this week. The review copies have gone out,
Yeah,
and the review embargo ended today.
yeah.
So the reviews have started trickling out
And
today.
the reviews are insane
It's getting like perfect scores
everywhere
everywhere.
across the board.
I think there's only a handful of places that aren't giving it perfect scores, and
I think I saw a picture. It was like 10 or like 15 different sources, and all of them were above 95%
they're-
or were perfect scores.
yeah, almost all of them. I think all of them were above 90%, except for one, which was like a 76%. And it was from some like third-party website that I have never heard of and I don't care about.
Yeah.
But like this game, I've been hearing people say that this might be like the most important game of this console generation.
Some people are saying this is the new Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I've heard that. And
Yeah.
if this is what I think it is, which is Skyrim with Zelda and like being able to complete that entire package
Doing those quests while also having the individualization of Skyrim.
and having a good story and
Yeah.
all these
with
really
the free roam elements.
yeah, all these really important elements that make Zelda good and make other games like Skyrim good. If it
Yeah.
has all those in there, then yeah, this is going to be a big deal.
It's going to be good.
This going to be good. So
I'm excited for this. I'm not as super, like I said, I'm not super stoked just because I've kind of been ignorant on all the news that has been coming out on it besides these reviews because the embargo just ended, as Andrew mentioned.
yeah, so I posted in the show notes the Reddit link, which compiles all of the reviews.
Yeah.
And for context of all these reviews, they posted the average score for all the other Zelda games that came out.
Okay.
And if you look at it, Ocarina of Time, of course, sits at a 99%.
Yeah.
Majora's Mask is a 95. Link to the Past is a 95. Wind Waker is a 96. Minish Cap, 89. Twilight Princess, 96. Phantom Hourglass, 90. Spirit Tracks, 87. Skyward Sword, 93. Link Between Worlds, 91. And Triforce Heroes, 73.
Yeah.
So let's compare this to Ocarina of Time, or even the previous
Yeah.
console Zelda, which was Skyward Sword,
Which is 93.
which is a 93.
And honestly, Skyward Sword wasn't even, to a lot of people, it wasn't that great of a game. It was more of like an 80. From a lot of people
I've heard
that
some
I've heard.
people say that it's an
Yeah.
amazing game, and I've also heard a few people, not as many, say that it was good,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a 10 out of 10.
But according to the critics, it is about a 93.
If it's even anywhere near Ocarina of Time, like a 97, or like if it got
Yeah.
a 98 out of like average score, then that puts it
As the second best.
almost as good
or-
as Ocarina of Time.
yeah.
And if it gets a 99, which based off of these scores, it might
will.
just get a
Yeah.
99. I'm
It would
super
be
excited.
mind-boggling.
Like I am super excited for this game. Everything about this is showing that all right, this is probably going to be a good thing. Metacritic currently has it at a 98% on the Switch.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody reviewed this thing for the Wii U.
No, if you have a Switch, you might as well use it.
Yeah, if you have the Switch, why not have the seminal game of this console generation,
Yeah.
which is also the first game to come out on this new console.
On the console, on the new console.
Like this sets high expectations for the next
Yeah.
Zelda game, whatever that may be.
I'm very hyped for this game. I think it'll be very good. Although
I'm
it's funny,
excited.
I will link to it in the show notes. I don't have it linked right now in our personal notes, but I watched a video. Someone had a review copy of it, and
Mhm.
they managed to speed run the game and got from the start of the game. I'm not sure if it was New Game Plus or how it worked. He didn't explain any of it because it was still
Mhm.
under embargo or whatever. But he got from the start of the game to the final boss room in 12 minutes.
No, you can do that. They
Yeah.
actually came out and said, like, officials from Nintendo actually came out. I forget who it was, but they actually came out and said you can beat this game without completing anything else in the game.
Yeah.
You can run straight to the boss room, and obviously that guy did.
Yeah.
And they said you can actually beat it if you get to the final boss room
Yeah.
and do it. It's ridiculously hard, like Dark Souls hard,
Yeah.
but you can do it, and I am kind of excited. If it has that kind of replay value where it's like everybody's going to have very different experiences, and if you
Yeah.
want to have the same experiences as other people, you got to keep replaying it.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
If it's going to be that open world gameplay that a lot of people love in like Bethesda games,
Mhm.
where it's not going to be as in depth where RPG
Mm-hmm.
style where you have like stats. I'm sure it probably won't be like that.
No, it's the normal Zelda
Yeah.
thing. Although I think they did add in Link's health.
Yeah.
So he has his hearts, but he also has a hunger bar now and like a clothing bar or something like that.
Like a shield.
No, where
like
he
a
has to wear clothes appropriate to the weather.
Okay.
So you can't just run the entire game with him in his shorts. You have to actually like give him clothes.
I would play a game where Link's just in his shorts.
I mean,
I guess that's
you technically
Wind
could,
Waker.
you could probably play the game like that and play, but you would have a hard time. You'd have to be
It's
constantly.
a survival kind of game.
Yeah, it's like Skyrim where it's like they have all these extra elements in there, and you can play it like that, or even like Fallout 4's survival mode,
Yeah.
where there's still these survival elements, but at the end of the day, it's more of an RPG with like a traditional health bar and everything. And those
Yeah.
extra elements are just kind of add-ons to the base game.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how this game turns out.
I don't want to actually read any of these reviews
Yeah,
until
I'm not
I
going
get
to.
my hands on the game, but I am very, very excited.
Yeah. Just from these numbers and from what little we have read, I'm very excited.
And one thing with the Switch that I didn't know, but there's 2 versions of the Switch. There's the plain matte black one, and then there's the neon one.
Yeah.
And the neon
red
one
and blue
comes
one.
with a red and a blue controller.
Yeah.
And I was complaining, why don't they just make a blue and a red?
Yeah.
Turns out they sell the red and the blue Joy-Cons
Individually.
separately. No, as sets.
Oh.
So if you want a set of neon blue Joy-Cons, you can go and buy them for $80. If
They
you want a
fixed
set
the
of
problem of
yeah.
having them.
So that was my
one
only
and one.
complaint about the console as it stands, and that's fixed.
Yep. Problem solved.
Problem solved. All good. So I'm excited to see what kind of skins people come out for this thing, though.
Yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people will come out with like custom things, or
Mhm.
I'm sure Nintendo in
it's
the future will come out
It's
with
also a
other
very
things.
blank slate. Like
Yeah.
the back is just a flat black
Yeah.
slate.
I don't know if we've
So-
mentioned this on the podcast, but I think it would be neat if they did something like the Game Boy Micro or the new 3DS where you can change out the backs and add that customization.
I wish that more things did that, but I think having this flat back means that you could skin it.
Yeah.
Like
it's very easy.
iPhones and lots of phones actually have secondary companies that develop really high quality skins for their stuff.
Yeah.
I think the Switch is going to have one. There's a company, there's Colorware, which does consoles.
Yeah. I'm sure
and
they'll do
I
one
think
for the Switch.
that D-brand skins also make skins for consoles, and they're high-end skins.
I'm not too familiar with
It's only a
skins,
matter
so
of
I don't know.
time before they make the Switch one, and I'm excited.
It'll be good.
Because the Switch looks really clean, but
Yeah.
if we had like a bamboo-backed Switch, that'd
Yeah.
be cool.
Or like just a wood panel. That'd be neat.
That'd be really cool. With like Zelda engraved in there.
That'd be cool. Like if you had just like this kind of wooden thing with like maybe a gold trim,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the Zelda thing either like fake wood burned in there or like gold trimmed.
That would
in
be
there.
really cool.
That would
Like
be
a gold
interesting.
trimmed wood would be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Kind of like a chest, like treasure
Mhm.
chest sort of thing.
This
I could
is-
see that
This is the first Nintendo console I've been legitimately excited about in a long time.
since the Wii, or
I
since the
wasn't
3DS.
even I wasn't even excited about the Wii,
I was
honestly.
excited for the 3DS just because of the fact that it was 3D. But
I was kind of excited about the 3DS, but I was less excited about the console as I was excited about the games. And the Switch, I'm excited about both the games and the console,
yeah,
which a Nintendo console hasn't done for me in
see,
a long
for me,
time.
the 3DS was the opposite, where I wasn't super hyped about a lot of the games on there, but the fact that the technology was there really was
the
sold
cool
it.
like
Yeah,
3D technology
3D gimmick that it had on there was
that
very
nobody
good.
uses anymore.
That no one uses. The games don't even use them. See, that was that's my problem with the 3DS is that there's all these 3D games on there, but none of them use 3D.
Yeah,
Like all of the, or at least any of the games that I play, because the games that I know of, they're either 2D and they use layering, where they layer the image
Mhm.
on top of itself so that it gives a 3D effect of the text, or it's just a 3D game with 3D models, and some of them will be in 3 dimensions,
mm-hmm.
and some of them won't. Like
yeah.
for example, Pokemon.
yeah.
There's little to no usage of the 3D features on there, despite having all of these opportunities to use it.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that the 3D required so much of the system's processing power.
Yeah.
Because
Well, they got around that with the I would say that, but then they got around that with Super Smash Bros.
but they
So,
didn't.
They did.
Super Smash Brothers is like
It
really
runs the same frame rate normally as it does 3D.
it does, but that's because they had to simplify a bunch of the systems inside to
Yeah.
do that.
And why they couldn't do that with something like Pokemon.
Because those
understand.
kinds of games are even more graphically intensive than a fighting game. Like
But
have you-
Pokemon is a
you've-
fighting game, though.
no, but you've seen the difference. So the areas in Pokemon where it allows you to do 3D are in the Pokemon battles.
Yeah.
Which of course it doesn't. I understand the complaint there. The battles don't hold like 30 frames per second. They
They don't
dip
hold
down a
frame
lot.
rates, and the 3D in there is very, very limited.
But for the main game, when you're running around the
See, I
cities
understand
and
that.
stuff, yeah,
But
then you can't hold the even 30 frames per second doing 3D on that because those 3D models are huge and there's tons of them.
yeah.
It's
But
not,
I'm saying that that even those battles, they had such bad frame rates, and even the 3D effects that were there weren't really I would argue weren't very 3D.
I mean, yeah, they weren't very 3D, but same with that's how the
That's the problem.
Smash Brothers is though.
I'm saying that was my problem with the 3D effects that they did, is that they didn't make they didn't use the 3D effects, I feel, to the full potential that they could have.
You wanted your Nintendog stage to have the dogs come out of the screen.
I wanted it to be like watching a 3D movie, and it wasn't like that when playing a game.
You want it to be like Lion King 3D, where it's like, this is the coolest 3D, even though it totally doesn't need to be 3D.
Well, no, that's how, like, Professor Layton games, they have one for the 3DS, and that uses, like I said, the layering on top of that, and that's really cool. But I want more 3D models like that. I haven't played it either. I only watched our cousin play it.
Oh, okay.
But I want to see the 3D models in 3D popping out. I don't want to see the 2D models popping out because I've already seen that.
Or we just don't care about that and go to VR, have VR games.
That's true.
Which is much better than having
I'd
a
rather
3D
have
screen.
That. Virtual Boy 2 confirmed.
The new Xbox, the Scorpio, is supposed to be like VR compatible, like just plain VR, like Oculus Rift kind of compatible. I'm kind of.
I haven't heard anything about Scorpio much. I know they've been hush hush about it.
They just announced. I'll include this in the show notes as well, but it's not really a whole lot of information. They announced that they're going to reveal everything about the console during their E3 press conference on June 11th.
Okay.
So Microsoft, I think, moved their press conference forward outside of the normal press conference slot.
Yeah.
And they are going to spend that entire time, in theory, about the Scorpio, outlining all its features, the games that are going to be for it, and
what it does in hardware.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
I don't know much about Scorpio, but I'm excited about it as well, just because it's a new console.
Well,
and I think we're slowly entering the new console generation.
So the way that the console generations, and I think that this is great, honestly, is the console generations aren't like set generations. The Scorpio they've announced isn't going to be a replacement for the Xbox One. It's going to be the step up for the Xbox One. It's like taking your computer and getting a new computer, or like getting your iPhone and getting a better iPhone. Like they still run the same software.
Yeah.
But one's just faster.
Okay.
And more powerful. So the games run faster or have better graphics. And that's exactly how it is. And the way that these games, the way Microsoft's been trying to set it up is they want all the games to be compatible to move forward. And they also want them to be scalable. So if you look at these Universal Windows programs, like Halo Wars or Rise of the Tomb Raider, where you buy one copy, you get it on both your PC and the Xbox. The goal with that is you program once, and it works on both. And it's and in theory, it should be optimized pretty well for both.
Yeah.
And that theory also applies to the Xbox One or the Scorpio. So your game, which you program for the Xbox One, just scales.
Just works better on the Scorpio.
Yeah, it scales properly to work better on the new hardware.
Okay.
And you can kind of see that with the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yeah.
So the way the PlayStation 4 plays games, it is like the basic version. And when you move over to the Pro, if your game hasn't been optimized for the Pro yet, it will run just like a PlayStation 4 game. It basically emulates a PlayStation 4. But they just updated the PlayStation 4 to include a boost mode, where it just takes the old game and scales it up. It gives it, I think it increases memory bandwidth by like 30%, 12 or 30%, something like that. And that lets your games just run better.
Yeah.
They
run faster, smoother, and better graphics.
They're not better graphics per se,
but
they're the same game performing better.
Yeah.
Which is what Microsoft is planning with the Scorpio. You're going to be your same games, but scaled up. They're going to be higher resolution in theory. They're going to be better frame rates, more solid gaming performance, but without the devs having to go in and build a whole new game.
Okay.
It's like the reason why we're seeing so many remasters right now is because the transition from the previous console generation to the new console generation is a change in architecture.
Yeah.
So
it's
we're running
style. It's a function.
The way the console itself works.
Yeah.
The previous generation wasn't an x86 architecture like your computer is, but the new console generation is. So the reason why, and Microsoft's been trying to work on this, and they've actually been able to build backwards compatibility by building an Xbox 360 emulator in the Xbox One, and that's why they're adding all these backwards compatible games. But in theory, what Xbox wants is every few years you buy your new Xbox,
Yeah.
like you buy your new iPhone. And that one works just the same as
The other ones.
your old one.
Yeah.
It's just, it performs better.
It's just better. It's the same but better.
Yeah, so if you want to, you can stay on the old one. You could stay on the OG Xbox One
And
if you
it
want
still
to
works. Yeah.
for the entire life cycle of the Scorpio even. And in theory it'll work, but the performance might not be great. You might have a terrible performance, like 24 frames per second, a cinematic 24 frames per second, and have like low graphic settings.
Yeah.
So it'll be like playing. It's still playable,
Yeah.
but it's like
It's low
playing,
settings. Yeah.
you're basically playing on a low end computer now.
Yeah.
But if you were to get the latest and greatest, they don't ever have to change console generations.
Yeah.
Ever. Like this console generation can last forever, basically. And all they do is upgrade the internal hardware, and so long as the processing architecture doesn't change too drastically over the years, as long as it still keeps this x86 kind of architecture, which it should for a good while, then you can just swap out your console and it'll just perform better. You don't have to think about it. The games you bought years ago will work on it.
Like you mentioned, just like an iPhone.
Yeah, just like an iPhone. And I think that's a great process. And I think the PlayStation isn't directly saying that that's what they want to do, but with like the introduction of the new boost mode and everything, I'll include that in the show notes as well. That's how these consoles are going to go. We might already be in the final console generation.
Futures now.
It's just this generation is the iPhone generation.
Yeah.
Where
we're just going to start repeating ourselves.
Yeah. It's going to be, we're the same console generation, but
Repeatedly
we're going to get new
upgrading.
hardware for that same generation. Just like previous generations had the normal and the slim versions of every console.
Yeah.
We'll probably have the same thing, except instead of being slim, it'll be more powerful.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that because there will always be people who are totally okay with the low end of the spectrum, and they can get a really cheap console, and there's a low barrier to entry. Yeah. And I'm perfectly okay with that.
I'm okay with that too.
And if the people who want the latest and greatest and most powerful want to, they can buy the newest
It doesn't
console.
leave people behind.
Yeah. And you have more options. And there's more competition, honestly, to bring prices down.
Yeah.
Which I think is good for us consumers.
It's good for a market, for a business market, and as a whole.
Kind of building off of this Xbox thing, did you see the new Xbox subscription service that they're going to add?
I heard about that. So it works similar to EA Access, I believe.
Except it's not a year. You can't do a yearly thing.
But it's a similar thing where you pay, I believe, monthly, and you get you basically get all of the games for Xbox Live that Xbox Live Gold gets more.
Actually, no.
I mean, it's to
different.
some degree.
It's different, actually.
I mean, you get like a large library of games.
You get a large library of games, but they're not exclusive to the previous games with Gold. They're so it's a library they've said that there's going to be 100 at launch. I believe that's the number that they said. I'll include it in the show notes.
It was a large, significant number.
Yeah, there's a significant number of games, and if you pay $10 a month, you will get access to these games. Now, that doesn't include, that is completely separate from Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah.
So when you have, let's say Call of Duty is on that list.
Yeah.
You can play the single player Call of Duty, but you can't play the multiplayer unless you go and buy Gold.
Okay.
But if you want to, you totally can just pay the $10 a month and get that whole back catalog of games.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I think is a great deal. Like, if you're wanting to go and play a certain game, and it's not gonna cost, or you're not gonna play it for like
forever,
a whole year.
Like for me, Grand Theft Auto is a game that I paid the $60 for. I've only played it maybe 4 or 5 times, just simply because all my other friends played it when times I wasn't playing, and the nature of that game is
play it anymore.
You get left behind basically.
Yeah, and so there's no real want to go back and play it, but with this system, if you were to do that, it would be on your list of games, but it would be on a list with 100 other games that you might want. Like Halo 5 is going to be on there. If you never bought Halo 5, instead of paying $30 or whatever that it is right now, if let's say you only cared about the story, you don't want to play the multiplayer, or you only want to play a little bit of the multiplayer, then you can pay the $10
for the month, and then you get it.
And then you get it. You can play it. That was $10 for that game, and it's still in your library if you continue paying that $10 every month. And you'll keep you don't own these games, which
get to play
so
them.
it's like you're leasing these games, but
Yeah.
for the way that games work, where some games are huge time sinks
Yeah.
and paying $10 a month is actually relatively cheap
Especially with
compared
the,
to paying for the game.
especially because we've been moving to such a digital realm when it comes to video games, like with things like Steam. It makes, I mean, you're basically getting leases anyway when you're buying these
Mhm.
$60
Yeah,
games.
you don't own the games when you buy on Steam. You own the license to the game.
Yeah, yet you're still paying the full $60. Whereas with like discs, you actually get the games. But
Yeah.
even nowadays, we're having to download them off the discs.
Yeah.
So it's the same. It's becoming the same process
Yeah.
where
And
you're making that.
And if you play games pretty often, you can, like, if you get the latest and greatest games every month
Yeah.
so that you can play them, then I'm not saying that the latest and greatest games will be on this 100 game list.
Yeah, they haven't
but-
announced all the games that are on there, if
But
any. but-
if you're the kind of person that builds up a backlog where you don't have time to play all the games, this might be a great way to actually get through that backlog without paying a ton of money to go and buy those previous games. I think it's a good idea, and this is the kind of future that I have been saying for Xbox, and I kind of wish that they had come out with at the very beginning.
This is the model that I think that a lot of video games and things of that nature, and even a lot of media in general, like with now that we have like Netflix and stuff doing
Mhm.
things like that, I think a lot of the nature is going to be large libraries that you pay monthly access for.
Yeah, which for a lot of media, that's perfectly okay. I'm okay with not like movies. I'm perfectly okay with not owning movies. I'd rather stream them because I only watch a given movie maybe once or twice a year.
Now, as long as that library is now, my only thing is something like Netflix. As long as the library is at least somewhat constant,
Mm-hmm.
as long as I can play
Netflix does
things
rotate
constantly.
stuff out, but it
Yeah.
happens so infrequently, like that they're rotating or like new and great stuff out.
Yeah.
This is how this Xbox service is going to work as well, where over time, sure, they'll rotate out old games,
Yeah.
but it's probably going to be really old games, like launch title
Yeah,
games.
that's fair.
And then what that means though is you get more up-to-date games. You get newer ones that
Yeah.
you might not have played. Like if this had something like Gears of War 4 on it, or even if it had Call of Duty on it.
Yeah.
Because I would love to go and play Call of Duty Remastered, but I'm not going to buy the $80 Call of Duty like Ultra Super
No.
Deluxe Edition so I can play that. But if it was on this list, then
I'd play it.
then
Yeah.
$10 a month so I can go back and play some Call of Duty 4,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome. I would totally be on board with that because $10 is a manageable amount.
Yeah.
Like $10 is as much as going to McDonald's and buying 2 cheeseburgers.
Basically.
Or
Buying
like,
one of the new Big Macs.
Yeah.
Because apparently that's a thing.
yeah, there's 3 Big Macs.
3 Big Macs now instead of 1, which doesn't make sense. But
I
that's
mean,
another argument.
The
That's another day.
I had the Mac Jr. just as a tangent. Had the Mac Jr. Thoroughly disappointed. The price was decent, but it was literally just like a normal cheeseburger.
Just a quarter pounder, basically.
No, it's not even a quarter pounder. They
Oh.
use like a Big Mac size, which is right between the normal cheeseburger size and
yeah.
the quarter pounder size. But it's like
That's disappointing.
it basically is like an upscaled version of the
the
normal burger, except with tons of lettuce. I don't
No.
know why the people at McDonald's do this, but they grab like the whole container of lettuce and like chuck it on there. I
See,
feel like I'm eating a salad
Yeah.
while I'm eating this sandwich.
See, some McDonald's, they'll do it with just lettuce. We're getting way off topic, but some places will do just like a mountain of lettuce, but other places will do like mountains of other things. Like some places
Mhm.
will do like mountains of pickles. Or the worst is when they do the mountain of onions. I've gotten
Okay,
that before.
So
mountain of onions is the worst.
the McDonald's here on campus by Armstrong
Yeah.
is guilty of both.
Oh no.
So a few weeks when they've released the Big Mac, the Grand Mac, and the Mac Jr., when they
Yeah.
released those, I got the Mac Jr. and I was like, and they piled on the lettuce, tons of lettuce. I'm like, and then that kind of turned me off to those. I don't really want that much lettuce, and I don't want to ask them to take off less because I know that they don't care enough to actually do that.
No, they won't.
So it's like,
Or you'll confuse
so-
them more and they'll add more lettuce.
so
I've
if you
seen.
go to McDonald's, so I went back to McDonald's recently and was like, okay, I'm just gonna get a quarter pounder with cheese, just because I had some deals. It would be
Yeah.
a cheap meal to do that. Get that mountain of onions.
Oh no.
I take one bite and it's like like just onion.
Back when we were in Hawaii, that's every time I asked for no onions, they would always make sure to pile on all of the onions.
Like, I don't understand it. Like, it's fine
And
to
it's
have
all
some.
in one spot
It's
too.
fine
It's never
to
like
have some.
spread
Yeah.
out.
No, I know. It's like they took the little spoon and just like plopped on a ton.
And it's
of
always in the
onions.
center.
Yeah.
It's always the exact center.
'Cause,
So
like,
the
the
edges,
cheese-
so you don't see it on the edges, but then you look.
The thing is, for the smaller cheeseburgers where that's the case,
Yeah.
they use the little tiny diced onions that are like really tiny,
Yeah.
and you can't taste them as much. For the
See,
quarter
I've-
pounder, they use chunks of onion.
Oh yeah.
They
I
use
forgot
like the
about that.
hand cut
Yeah.
chunks of onion, and they're massive.
Like slices.
And they still do like a whole handful, and it's
No.
gross. I have to like scrape off tons of the onion
Yeah.
because there's just so much.
I just don't like the onion. I just don't like McDonald's in general for the most part.
No, I
they're-
don't either. They're a
Yeah.
last resort food.
They're a last resort for me. Although their McWraps I feel are pretty solid.
They don't have them anymore.
What?
I know. I was
What?
looking at their menu, and either they don't have them anymore, or the one at Armstrong just refuses to put them on their menu.
That is severely.
I don't
That
see
was
any
literally
of
the only thing on the menu I would get.
Oh yeah, and they're great.
No, they are.
And I always want them because they're relatively
Yeah.
cheap and they're good.
I know snack wraps have been gone for a while.
Yeah, and that's what I miss.
And I miss those, but then they did the McWraps, which were like larger snack wraps.
Which were good, but I
Were
think those were a
usually
limited
pretty
time.
good. Yeah.
Those were a limited time event.
Now I could do segue to the naked chicken chalupa, but I won't. I'll wait.
No, let's segue to
Well,
the naked chicken chalupa.
We're way off
'cause
topic
I'm
from
really,
video games.
I'm
but-
really sad about this.
So the naked chicken chalupa at Taco Bell, which was the taco that was the chicken shell, where the shell was a
It's a fried chicken
fried
shell.
chicken shell. They announced. I know that they originally announced it that it was a limited time offer, but the
It's a
limited time
really
is-
limited time offer.
the limited time was only 6 weeks, and the naked chicken chalupa is coming to an end very soon.
Yeah, sometime in this
Sometime
month.
In sometime early this month.
Yeah, either
In
in
the next like 2 weeks. Probably.
yeah, in the next week or two, the naked chicken chalupa will no longer be with this world.
And I'm gonna just bring up the article that I found. It's from the AV Club. They did a proper eulogy for the naked chicken chalupa. So I'll just read a section.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll read a brief section. I'll
Go
only
for
read
it.
like a paragraph. Oh, what divine yum brand creator giveth it has taken away, or it has taketh away, proclaiming that in March, the year of our Lord 2017, the chalupa conceived with a fried chicken shell shall cease being and return to the great Taco Bell assembly line in the sky, where it will be reunited with its departed ancestors like the enchilada, grilled stuffed nacho, and the bell beefer. We may take comfort in knowing that the naked chicken chalupa did not live a life too short, nor too long. Its time on Earth was the appropriate length, about 2 months. And then it goes on to in that sort of style.
That is amazing.
But thankfully, they've said that due to the popularity, it'll probably be coming back at some form as another limited time in the
I
future.
Hope
But
so.
as of right now, the naked chicken chalupa is leaving us for a greater beyond,
For greener pastures.
for
It-
greener pastures.
I'm really disappointed by this, and
'Cause you've only eaten it once.
I've eaten it twice actually.
I've eaten it twice.
I
as
went
well.
back and had it again. As soon as I heard that it was going off the menu, I had to go back and eat it again
Yeah.
because it is really great. You know,
The second time I had it, it was still pretty great, but it was weird because I didn't have the like slider thing to hold onto it with.
I didn't have that either.
Yeah, I stopped giving it out at the
Yeah.
one on campus.
Yeah, but they did have like the foil wrap still.
Oh,
which
mine
was
didn't
sweet.
even have that.
Really, it had a normal taco wrap.
No, wait, what do you mean?
So like instead of having like the normal parchment paper,
Yeah, mine has a
Wrap?
parchment paper.
mine was like the foil parchment paper.
Mine was the proper, just normal parchment paper.
Okay,
He
so
wa- I
yeah,
think he was in a rush
they
and
must have
just
been
didn't
out
care.
of everything then.
Yeah.
which is really sad.
To be fair, the Taco Bell on campus here is very poorly stocked.
It's very inadequate,
It's very inadequate and doesn't have enough of anything ever.
but it's still probably one of the best Taco Bells.
Food, like content, like the stuff that they make is pretty solid.
Mhm.
Like I've never had any complaints.
Like, there's no item that I've gone there and been like, yeah, that was a disappointing Taco Bell. Like, some
Yeah.
Taco Bells you go to and you're like, this is kind of disappointing.
yeah, like they rushed this thing or this thing didn't
Or
turn
they
out
just
very
don't
well.
care enough.
Yeah.
But the people there, they
Or
actually
the one that
like
ruined the enchilada or the
quesarito.
the quesarito for me.
Yep.
That one.
Yep. Shame on them.
Shame on them.
But the reason why I know that this has been a huge success for them is that I saw somebody, like a major blog that I read, I think it was Gizmodo,
Yeah.
actually created like a fake chicken chalupa recipe for it.
Yeah.
Like
Lots
the
of
fact
people-
that somebody
lots
had
of
took
people
the
love
time to do
this.
that.
Lots of people love this item. There's a big cult following for the naked
Mhm.
chicken chalupa
Like
because it's unnaturally good.
It's completely unnaturally good. When I remember when I first heard of this, I thought, and you could probably go back in the podcast and listen.
We thought this was gonna be gross.
Yeah, we thought it was gonna be a total flop.
This is gonna be weird.
And it was great.
Yes.
It turned out to be way better than I had ever
anyone
expected.
anticipated.
Yeah.
It was better. It had no expectations for it, and it blew all those expectations away.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I'm sad to see it go.
I know, but
Rest in peace.
hopefully it
good-
will return
Rest in peace, good buddy.
along with the beefy crunch burrito. It will go into heavens and hopefully come back.
Oh, I was thinking about the Frito.
They have like a small taco kind of version
Yeah,
of the
that
beefy
uses
crunch
the
burrito.
Fritos.
That
Yeah.
uses Fritos. It's like a Frito like
It's
taco or
still-
something. Like
It's
that.
still good.
Which is still
It's just
good.
not the same size.
It's not the same. And
'Cause
for the price that you got, for the $2 that you would get
that was a good price.
for the
Beefy
Uh,
Crunch.
beefy crunch,
Yeah, because
I
it's like
cry.
it's like $160 for the Frito taco
Yeah,
or whatever.
and it's just taco. Where it was like $2 or like
was
$1.50 or
massive.
something for this burrito.
Rest in peace, naked chicken chalupa.
Not rest in peace. Going back to Xbox, if you have anything else to add to.
No, I'm done with
Yeah.
Xbox, but we can
So
go on
moving
to
on-
our next video game topic, our final video game
So
topic.
moving off of our food tangent there, Overwatch just announced a new hero today. Actually,
Literally right before the podcast, we were getting stuff together for the show notes, and I pull up Kotaku, and they're like, "There's a new hero," and I'm like, "Where did this come from?" Like,
what sort of madness
there
is
was
this?
no. I mean, there was some lead up.
There was some lead up
because
to
they
be
had-
fair.
they
They had
had-
some Twitter posts and they had
Yeah.
some fan content.
There was some
speculation.
art content that they put out, but there's been a lot leading into them potentially revealing Doomfist.
And even with the update, even with the announcement of the new hero, Osira, or Orisa,
Orisa.
however you pronounce it,
It's Orisa.
Orisa. Even with that, they've been teasing Doomfist.
Yeah, like
They've been
everything
teasing
has,
Doomfist for a while.
everything has been leading into Doomfist. Like
Yeah.
even the lead up documents to this one reference Doomfist.
Yes.
They're
The story behind this character is directly related to Doomfist.
yeah, so we've included a link to the
development.
character.
Explanation.
But the story behind this hero is this hero is a security robot that of Numbani, the main African city in the game, and a little girl saw the aftermath of a Doomfist
Attack.
conflict. Yeah. So Doomfist basically attacked something. We don't know what. And
It was announced that it was an airport.
okay,
according
that's
to
what
the
it was.
thing. It was
And
it attacked an airport that these robots were defending,
yep.
and the robots got destroyed, and everyone kind of gave up on the robot.
yeah, all the robots were a failure because Doomfist was able to destroy them so easily.
Yeah.
Doomfist. This is why they were like people were like, "Oh, Doomfist." Like
Yeah.
they literally
Doomfist
state
is
his
going
name.
to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
no, not Doomfist.
Yeah, so a girl who apparently has some technical know-how takes one of these destroyed robots and reprograms it
Rebuilds it. Just-
rebuilds it, reprograms it to basically be the best defense robot ever. And the role that this character seems to fill is a sort of long-range tank.
It's so the way that I'm looking at it, just from what they've announced, I haven't played it yet. I don't. It's not out yet. But
No, it's
from what I've
not.
been trying to figure out from it, it seems like if they got Reinhardt and mixed it with Zarya, gameplay wise.
A little bit.
So you have the shield tactics of Reinhardt, where you have a shield that isn't that in this case you can place down, whereas Reinhardt he carries it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a shield that you can place down that also it works in sort of aerial or area sort of protection.
It does area of effect.
Yeah.
It has an area of effect basically. Like you can use the abilities to like I think it's like attract all the enemies together.
Yeah. One is like a small attraction beam sort of thing.
Yeah, where all, like a group of you hit one enemy with it and it attracts a bunch of other enemies
Yeah.
to them, and then but it also shoots like a slow moving ball projectile as its normal projectile
Yeah.
as well, which reminds me a little bit of Zenyatta.
Well, for me, it reminds
This
me
is
of
a
like
very hybrid character, to
yes.
say the least. It is also a very cool looking character. Has like four. It's like a centaur.
It's like a like 3-4-legged thing.
It's a centaur.
Yeah, it's a centaur.
basically. It's a
Robo
robot
centaur.
centaur with a. It's just so cool.
Guns.
Yeah, with guns. It's really cool, and the backstory is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get a chance to try it. All the characters that they've released so far, all the new characters,
Yeah.
one, they're free, which is really awesome. Free
Yeah.
DLC, I'm all for.
100% all for. I'm glad that
But they've all been
they're
good
taking this way.
characters.
No,
They've all
definitely.
been solid characters. Sombra is probably the one that people are least excited about.
I
But
think because of the amount of hype that they had behind Sombra,
mhm.
I think that portrayed part of it, and also Sombra's gameplay-wise, she's kind of a struggle to figure out.
Well, people are finally figuring her
People are
out. She's been
figuring
in the
her
game
out.
long enough now that people are figuring it
Yeah.
out, and people.
But she is
know
her
how to use
role gameplay-wise is kind of strange and has a weird niche to it.
Yeah, she's like a counter equipment and super character.
She's a counter equipment tracer basically.
Sort of. Well, she's not as fast as Tracer though.
That's the thing. She's
But
not as fast.
She's evasive.
Yeah.
With her invisibility and stuff.
Yeah, which is
She's a
interesting.
strange character.
She's her own character, like all of the Overwatch
Yeah.
characters are.
She's not like Anna, which was the first add-on character, where
Yeah.
Anna has a really distinct role. She's a sniper healer,
Yeah.
which in theory sounds weird, but in practice it actually makes
It
a lot of
works to some
sense
extent,
because
yeah.
she just kind of you shoot more.
You shoot whatever you want.
Yeah.
You shoot at everything basically.
Yeah, you shoot all the things,
You shoot your teammates. You shoot your
Yeah.
enemies.
and it all just works.
Yeah.
And which is fine. But this one looks really cool. This character, I'm waiting for Doomfist
Everyone's been waiting for Doomfist, but
because Doomfist sounds awesome.
and if they do go with what people think they are and have Terry Crews voice it,
Well, he came in to voice something, and
Yeah.
we don't know what he voiced.
and people are hoping it's Doomfist because he's gone on and teased like, hey, what would you guys think if I did Doomfist? And
Yeah.
Overwatch was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Terry Crews did
Did
Doomfist?
Doomfist,
But-
and then
but he-
everybody, and then
and they're like,
everybody's
are you
brains
doing
exploded.
Doomfist? Yeah, and they're like, are you doing Doomfist? He's like, no, can't say, don't know, maybe.
And
And
then-
everyone's just kind of like, oh my god, everyone's freaking out.
he would be perfect for Doomfist
Yeah.
because Doomfist is like a tanky melee character
Yeah,
with a Doomfist.
his name is Doomfist, and
His
he's
special,
and he's voiced by the Old Spice guy, by the Old Spice, one of the old,
Old Spice guy.
no, the second Old Spice guy, not the first one. Terry Crews is the
No, he was the first one, and then he became the third one. He came
well, he's
back
not
as the
he's
third
not
one.
I'm on a horse guy.
No, that was the second one.
Was that I thought that was the 1st
I'm pretty sure that was the second one.
Oh well,
And
Terry
Terry
Crews
Crews-
was the Old Spice guy who gives you power.
He gives you power, and didn't his biceps have
His biceps dance.
his? Yeah,
He
that's what
he
it
can
was.
do the peck dance.
The pec dance and the bicep dance and all the dances with the muscles.
Muscle man, macho man.
Perfect for Doomfist.
He is Doomfist. But I'm excited for Osira. I think that she'll have really cool gameplay mechanics.
I want to see how she goes and how
Yeah.
the gameplay works with her, because there's all these videos out on
They've
introduce
announced all the backstory stuff, but
Yeah.
they haven't announced any gameplay.
Well, no,
yet.
they showed how all of the mechanics work. They put out short
Have
clips.
they? I have not watched those.
They put
yet.
out short clips on how all of the mechanics work.
Yeah.
And it's just how does that interact with all the other systems in the game? Because there's a lot of different and very unique systems in the game.
With how many
We'll
heroes
see.
they have.
It might
Yeah.
be a very weak character, but it could also be Bastion kind of overpowered.
I don't feel like it'll be as overpowered as Bastion, but it'll be a similar kind of character in that regards, where it'll be this sort
Kind
of
tanky.
walking tank,
Yeah.
sort of.
Uh,
Not a physical tank like Bastion, but you know what I mean.
Well, it sort of has a gun. It's a centaur.
It's a robot centaur.
It's a
So.
centaur. Enough said.
It's something.
Brought up Bastion, and Bastion currently is announced to get a nerf.
Well, apparently they updated Bastion to fix a lot of stuff, but they basically
He's
broke him.
him. He
Yeah.
is so broken.
Because like from what I read, basically they made it so the new update apparently added it where he can self-heal
Yes.
in whatever and still walk around and move.
Yes.
So he can basically walk around and heal, and they also boosted the amount of healing he does.
Mm-hmm.
So they boosted it to the point where I saw a post on Reddit. They basically broke down like as long as he's constantly being healed and nothing else is hitting him,
Yes.
he can basically block not like half of the characters.
Yeah.
Like shooting him no
Almo-
matter with
well,
like
he
full
can-
damage.
He can block several ultimates.
He can block several ultimates. He can block several clips. He can block full clips from characters.
Yeah.
He can like
It's
block everything basically
it's dumb. It's so dumb.
as
I
a
don't
single character.
I don't know what happened, like why they were decided that was a great idea in playtest, but
They must not have noticed that in playtest. They must not have figured that that was
maybe.
because when you're playing, you usually aren't like healing constantly. Because if you play
Mhm.
him like originally,
Yeah.
where he is this heal, you only heal when you're sitting in one spot.
Well,
So when
because you
they
had to.
yeah, because you had to. But when you walk around, you aren't going to be constantly healing.
Yeah.
But
Now you can.
But now you can constantly heal, and now that people know that you can constantly heal, people have been
Mhm.
abusing that and using that a lot
Well, and then
because of the way that the game mechanics
they
set it
also
up.
boosted his other weapons though.
They made him shoot faster and with bigger
He
clips.
shoots faster and he's a bigger clip, which means he can wreck Reinhardt shields, which is basically the only counter to Bastion for
Yeah.
a long time because a lot of characters are too weak to get to approach a Bastion
Yeah.
holding off. Like if Bastion's holding off a corner, like you need like a Reinhardt or something
If
super
there's a Bastion
tanky.
being healed, then you're in a corner. That corner is basically blocked. You can't
Yeah.
walk in front of that.
At least how it used to be, but now he puts out so much damage.
Now
in
he's
his
mobile.
in his turret mode, he puts out so much damage in his turret mode so quickly, and
Yeah.
he has so much ammo. He can wreck a Reinhardt shield very quickly, and if he has any sort of support, it's basically
Possible.
impossible to take that corner
Yeah.
unless you team rush hit that one character.
Yeah. I've played rounds where where you physically cannot get past the Reinhardt because he's supported by a Torbjorn and a Mercy.
That's how I like to play. I play a Tobe, and I support my Reinhardt, and it's all over. I don't think I've ever lost with Torb.
Tobe's pretty
He's
pretty
good.
solid.
He's a good
He's
character.
not the best. He's not the worst.
On consoles, he's not as good as on PC, but the accuracy of players on PC means that doesn't matter.
You and me both play on console.
Yeah.
So that's our reference point for those listening.
Mm-hmm. And I would love to play it on PC, but I don't know. I think that the console player base is probably gonna last a good while.
I think it'll last longer than most other games.
Yeah, I think it'll be
Especially
good.
with the amount of updating they've been doing. Overwatch is a solid game that I enjoy, and I'm excited for Orisa, not Osira. I'm thinking Trials of Osiris for some reason.
You've said that exact phrase for every single topic that we've talked about so far.
What?
I'm excited for blank.
I know I have. I've noticed that as I've been saying it, and I'm like, I need to stop saying that. Like, it's a big problem.
Don't worry, I'll cut that last one because it was separate from everything else.
You can if you want.
No, I'm
Better we can.
I'm going to.
Let's leave this whole dialogue in.
No, I'm not going to leave this dialogue in. I'm going to have to edit.
I've
this
said
out.
that for everything, and it's kind of bothering me.
I might if it sounds like I can edit it out, I will.
Yeah.
So that you
Please do, because I've said it
so
a
that
lot.
I will only allow one. I am excited for this. For blank.
It is interesting. I'm excited for it.
Yes.
That's me every single topic ever.
That's you trying to keep topics going a little longer than they should.
Cut those out.
Like the final Oscars. Don't use that as the lead
Being
up.
quiet for a reason.
As the lead up. Our final topic for today is the Oscars.
So, I haven't been keeping track of. I didn't pay attention to who won what awards. Honestly, I didn't pay too much close attention to that. I didn't look at the scores. I know Zootopia won Best Animation.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I followed nothing. The only thing I followed were the people on Twitter who were watching the thing and watching their reactions to things. And it sounded like there were no real surprises, at least until the very end
where they made probably the biggest mess up that they could have ever made.
Yeah. So
I'm sure most of
I'll let you explain what's going on though.
So I'm so sure most of you are already aware because the videos have been viral, and because the Oscars is such a big event that it's crazy if you just the fact that it even happened. But basically, for the Best Picture award, the biggest award in the Oscars, basically, they announced the wrong name.
Yes.
And they did this. So they announced that. So the winner of the Best Picture was Moonlight, but they announced that La La Land was the Best Picture.
Yes.
So they got the envelope. They pulled a Steve Harvey. They opened the envelope. They read the name, and it was La La Land.
And it was La La Land.
Yeah, because they had the wrong envelope.
The courier who handed it off, right as the guy came on stage, handed him the wrong envelope. I heard somebody say that was something like Best Supporting Actress.
I think it was Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
It was the woman in La La Land or whatever.
Yeah, and because if you look very closely at the
it had
card,
like an actor on there.
It had the actress's name on there, and but it also has right below that. It also has the name of the movie, and because
in big font.
Yeah, in the heat of the moment, the guy is gonna be whoever's reading it.
Well, it was the guy had it, and he's like, do you want to read it? And she's like, okay, here you go, I'll read it. And then she didn't look at it at all. She just saw the movie, and
yeah,
she's like, La La Land. Okay, it's La La Land.
Yeah.
So
And
without
then
looking
they
at
go for
anything,
it. And then they're like,
they go for it. They
and they're like-
celebrate.
and the announcer.
Everyone gives their speeches.
Yeah. And
So-
the announcer lady's like winner of Best Motion Picture, La La Land. And then
Yeah.
the cast comes up and everything.
They do their whole speeches. Now they do like they go for the whole minute. They do the
Yeah.
proper award. The director gives his speech, and I think another guy gets about halfway through his speech before they have the main stage guys come up and be like, "No, sorry, you guys didn't win.
Yeah, and-
Moonlight won."
And then the one of the La La Land guys grabs the card and like holds
it up for the
and
camera
like
so
shows
everyone
everybody
can see.
like Moonlight is.
Moonlight actually won.
And did you see the picture? I'll include this if I can find it. The picture of all of the people in the audience, their reaction.
I have not seen that.
So
I only saw
it's like
him holding the picture.
the title of the caption is actors have the most what was it? Actors have the most vivid expressions or something like that.
Yeah.
And you just see them all and they have this look of wonder and like disgust and like
Like
what is
horror,
going
like
on.
confusion.
And you can specifically pick out The Rock in the group.
Dwayne the Rock.
Because he's like taller than everybody else.
'Cause he's a
and
big
he's
guy.
in like a bottom right corner of this
Yeah.
picture, and he just has this look like someone just got the Stone Cold Stunner. Like he just has this look like, what? And he looks kind of slightly angry about it.
like angry, shocked, confused.
And it's a great picture. And it
You
just
see
sums up
that.
everyone's reactions to this. Like, this is so cringeworthy. How do you go being the biggest like movie award ceremony and you screw up your biggest
award. Yeah.
Who are
It's
you,
insane.
Steve Harvey?
I know. It's funny. There's a lot of pictures and memes that came out of it, and one of them was him holding up the card, and they would replace the name on there, and some of them were really funny. Like there's one where it's Alvin and the Chipmunks Road
I saw that one. That was so good.
And there's a bunch of other ones that are in similar veins where it's like awful movies or just random things written on there, or like the Hillary Clinton, Trump
we'll try to
stats and
we'll
stuff
try
like
to
that.
include at least one of them
We'll include one of those.
in the show notes.
But just the fact that they messed that up is
How do you
shocking.
do that? How that's your one job. And somebody said that it was the guy who handed it off
Yeah.
accidentally grabbed the wrong card, but at the same time it's like, why is that even a thing that can happen?
Yeah.
And I don't know
Apparently
if
what
that was
happened
verified.
is one of the dude, I think what some people have said is he entered the stage differently than he should have.
Okay.
So he entered from one side. The way they do it is they do cards one side and then the other, and then you alternate between that so that you don't mess up.
yeah.
But one of the guys entered stage on the wrong side.
Oh.
So that's what I heard happened, I think, but no one really knows for sure.
okay.
Is that one of the guys entered from the wrong side? He went to the wrong side of the stage or whatever to get the card, and because of that, he picked up the wrong card.
Okay.
And they didn't read the card clearly enough, or at least the lady didn't. And
yeah. Well,
uh,
I mean, you don't
thus.
really expect them to. You expect the whole presentation's going right so far. This is the final thing.
yeah, you expect that the next thing is going to
Like
be all right.
everything else has gone right so far, so you would expect the final thing to be.
But you don't
correct.
look at the card. You give a
Well,
little bit to look at the card.
And if you look at the card and you look at it and you see that on all of the cards, the name of the movie is actually probably one of the larger
it's
things
probably the
on
bold.
the things.
They probably have a bold font on the bottom of the movie, and they have in thinner text above.
Well,
Maybe bigger, but thinner.
the person who won is actually like if it's a person, their
Yeah.
name is actually the same size font as the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like because the way it's announced is like
For the picture of La La Land, Jodie Foster or whatever.
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
just
Whoever
naming, I'm naming
whoever
names.
they are, they announce the person and they say the person's name and then they say the movie.
Yeah.
With that movie.
So they probably just
or
saw the
person is
movie,
associated
and
with
then they're like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
We're in the best picture
Well,
award.
because you're looking for
Yeah.
it, and you're like, your brain is automatically looking for a movie title, and you see a movie title. Okay, they win without any second thoughts.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's the presenter's fault. It's the
No.
production
I
company's
think it's the
fault.
production's fault, just because. I mean, it should have been. She shouldn't have gone off and just been like, "Let me glance at this for 2 seconds and be like, La La Land." Like the second
Yeah,
you look at
it's
it,
like
I feel like it's partly her, but
it
not
could have
entirely.
been. It could have been
It could have been-
prevented.
there are many parts where it could have been prevented that it wasn't, and the fact that it slipped on such a big stage in front of that audience
hmm
for the Oscars is shocking and
Yeah,
makes no sense.
I mean, it is what it is, but it's still a cringeworthy moment to say the least.
2017's been an interesting year in the fact that
year
there's
of
so
cringe.
many things. In some ways, the year of cringe. In some years, not. But
Yeah, I would agree with that.
also, on a side note, apparently a lot of people were talking about this just 'cause how surprising it was. But apparently, Suicide Squad won Best Makeup.
Okay, so I saw this and at first I was like, okay, like that I don't understand that. But I saw a Reddit post about the makeup and it was a picture of the Star Trek makeup and it's like and this didn't win best makeup
Yeah.
and somebody made a great point that with Star Trek most of that stuff they're props. It's like silicone
It's
prosthetics, yeah.
Yeah.
Which sure it takes a lot of skill to develop those,
But it's not
but
proper
the
makeup.
continuity, skill required to maintain continuity between scenes and over time
Yeah.
is much harder for makeup like Suicide Squad, like Harley Quinn,
Yeah.
and I mean not so much the Joker. His makeup is really dumb, but like he was developed
Damaged on the
he was
forehead.
developed by a 14-year-old. But Harley Quinn's makeup, on the other hand, it looks relatively simple. It's
Yeah.
like white with like colored like
Streaks.
streaks and like paint on her around her eyes. But the continuity that you need to have so it looks exactly the same in every single scene
Yeah.
is pretty darn difficult.
Okay,
And
I could give it
and
that
to keep that continuity,
for
like
an entire movie.
like let's say you have to reshoot a scene as well.
Yeah.
Like that kind of
And anything smudges.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
then you have to redo it all. It has to be perfectly continuous. Like
Yeah.
everything has to make sense with every reshooting of a scene. And another point is, I mean, we didn't see the movie,
No.
but
A lot of people
there's
didn't 'cause of how
the
bad it
one
was,
guy.
but-
There's the one guy who has all the tattoos. I forget his name. He like shoots fire or something.
There's the Joker, and then there's
He has a
I wanna
what
yeah,
it-
I know who you're talking about.
he has his whole body is covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
All of that was makeup work.
Yeah.
All of that. That is intense. That's
Mm-hmm.
insane. And I think that deserves praise because that is an impressive feat that you can maintain continuity for some makeup like that.
Yeah.
Whereas the prosthetics for like Star Trek are really great and they're super
They're more
impressive.
in those ways, but
But in terms of
of
makeup,
straight makeup.
yeah, the improving the art of makeup and makeup for movies.
To translate comic makeup where you literally just draw it on to be able to get makeup that's constant for such a long shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Because they did reshoots too.
Yeah, like
If
the
even
prosthetics, they're easy to maintain continuity with. You just attach them the same way you attached them last time. They'll look the same. Sure, they may degrade, but you make a ton of them.
You do a little bit of touch
It
up.
takes a lot of
Yeah.
skill to build them. I'm not going to take that away from
Yeah.
all of the sculptors who go into making
But
those
it's easier
props.
to touch up a sculpture than to do makeup every single day,
Yeah.
every time.
To make the application of a set of makeup consistent day in and day out. Especially on a scale of like the guy with all the tattoos.
Yeah.
Like that kind of a scale.
On a large scale of having
Yeah.
such a big basically not prop, but such a big like makeup set that you have to do
Mm-hmm.
to keep that constant through each frame and through each shoot and even the reshoots as I mentioned
Yeah.
because I didn't take that into account.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
That's way harder
Yeah.
to do. Like if you have to go back and reshoot a scene after like
3
2 or
months.
3
Yeah.
days or even just days.
Yeah.
Months it's crazy, but days it's like even that's hard.
Yeah.
You have to go back and make that continuity and I think that would be way too hard. That's really difficult for something like Suicide Squad.
For the amount of detail that goes into
Mhm.
those.
Not
makeups.
as difficult for like 90% of the other movies that were out
Yeah.
there. I can't speak for any of the other options out there because I don't know what the other options were. but
we didn't follow
I
the
do-
Oscars too closely.
I do think that was deserved on the Suicide Squad team's part. If they did one thing right with that awful movie, it was the makeup.
Yeah. Which isn't much, but it's something.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about the Oscars, but it just doesn't appeal to me that much.
I'm the same way. I feel like it's a lot of like pretentious like things that just don't
It's-
really add up.
It's a bunch of back padding, but usually it's back padding for things that don't deserve it.
In a lot of cases, I would
Or
agree. Yeah.
it's back padding for things that are completely obvious are going to win a bunch of awards.
Like every year, the Disney movies always win.
Like in animation, yeah. You're just like, that's how it always goes. But for a long time, it was like the same style of movies would win. Like, you can kind of pick them out where they're like super artsy and they don't really have, I mean, they can have good stories.
They don't have a wide audience love per se,
well, their art, the thing is,
but they're artsy.
No, usually in the past at least, for a long time it was movies that were artsy but approachable. Yeah. So they're like the average Joe's artsy movies. Yeah. Whereas in recent years, which I kind of like and I think that they should keep doing, is they've been finally embracing these smaller studio productions. Yeah. Like Moonlight, which is not a small studio production, but is an artsy movie that doesn't necessarily have a huge following. Yeah. Like, it tells a very specific story that has a very specific audience and is a very important movie regardless. Yes. And same with, I mean, that's probably why La La Land didn't win. And I don't think they should have won because they have that artsy. They have that formulaic artsiness. Yeah. That a lot of Oscars have. That is approachable to a general audience, but does not move the genre forward. It has that sort of Oscar bait sort of feel to it. In my opinion, if you're going to win the Best Picture, you need to be moving the medium forward. Yeah. And a movie like Moonlight or even Arrival. Arrival was if Moonlight hadn't come out, I think it should have been Arrival. Yeah. But they move the medium forward. They have a next level of storytelling that we haven't necessarily seen before. Yeah. In the medium. They're bringing something new to the medium rather than using sure, it might be the Best Picture because it's telling the best medium right now, which La La Land did. I mean, I haven't seen either movie, but I'm sure that La La Land did really well in telling a great story in the current style of the medium, but something like Moonlight could progress that medium forward. Yeah. And might have its problems, but at least it's progressing things forward. It lays a foundation for other movies in the future to build off of, which in the past, Oscar fodder hasn't done that. No. But they're doing more and more, and I think that that's very important. And I want to see the Academy keep doing that. I think it's the Academy. The Oscar groups. Who does the Oscars? Is it the Academy? No, Academy Awards are different. That's different. Yeah, that's right. I was thinking about that in the back of my head. Yeah. They're all very similar. So I don't know exactly how the Oscars work. I believe it's a small group of private individuals that pick the movies, and oftentimes a lot of people haven't seen the movies, but it's hard to say. No, it is. So the Oscars are technically the Academy Awards. Oh, okay. So they're the same thing. So they are the same. I was confused there because they use the name interchangeably. I feel. The Oscar is actually the award that they give to people. Okay. That's why they call it the Oscars, because you're giving out all the Oscars, but it's really the Academy Awards. Okay. That makes more sense. So the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Yeah. I'm worried that's the science in that. I don't know, but I mean, there's a lot of technology that goes into it. Like, even there is, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's like science. I don't know. Maybe if you could, I guess someone could argue that art is science, but well, there's I don't know. I'm one of those people who thinks it should be STEAM and not STEM. I'm the same way. STEAM is better than STEM. I think art has a huge influence on science and technology. Yeah. And so I'm okay with them having sciences in their name. Yeah, I'm glad that it's there. I'm just saying I feel like the Academy Awards don't use science as much as they could. Yeah, it'd be really cool if they did, if the best animated picture movie wasn't, instead of being like, oh, you're the best animated picture, period, if it expanded out like best animated picture for use of, because there's only one animated category, which is the struggle. For use of some new animating technique or new computer rendering service, that kind of thing. Like for example, Kubo and the Two Strings. Yeah. Incredibly visually difficult because it is mostly 3D hand-done animation with models. But because the story of that is of a lower quality than Zootopia, they both are technically difficult on two different levels. And I almost wish they would flesh out that category because I mean, I'm not entirely sure because I don't watch the Oscars, but I'm pretty sure they don't separate out other movies as well into best sci-fi, best whatever. It's just big broad categories. Yeah. And for certain things, I feel like it would be great if they separated it out a little bit more.
Animation, I feel like, because of the methodology of it, because animation is just a medium in which you present something. It's not necessarily a category like sci-fi or something like that. It's an animated picture. You can do anything with it in the same way that you can do with normal actors. So having a single category for that, whereas you have multiple categories for that. Now, I'm sure it's not the Oscars' business to do that, but I think that they could do better with having more than one category. Maybe best visual, like best visual animation versus like best overall animated picture.
Yeah.
I feel like that could work better.
Something like that could be good. But at the same time, you touched on it where it's like, is that within the realm of the Academy's
Is that the Oscars'
jurisdiction?
business to deal with, or is that another group's?
Should
dealing
we
with?
just have a bunch of smaller award shows for like, because like game developers, sure, there's like game developer award shows, or like there's big game award shows, but there's also like recently they just had the Game Developers Conference, which celebrates game developers and the technical advancements that the developers are making. Like your company might win the best game, but a small company who's making huge leaps and bounds in the technology realm, like it just came out with a new, I think No Man's Sky won something at this GDC. I don't know what for, but it's because they did something new and relatively revolutionary.
They pushed the boundary forward.
Yeah, and they get acknowledged there. They would never get acknowledged at like a game awards show for like best story, best graphics,
No Man's Sky
best
was
anything.
a disaster of a game.
It was a disaster of a game, but you can't deny that the technology behind No Man's Sky is impressive.
Yeah.
Because of how all these different systems work.
Because of what it's trying to do.
Yeah, and I think that maybe that's the point, that maybe it isn't within the Academy's jurisdiction to
it might not
those
be
kind of
within the
calls.
Oscars realm to manage something like that, but there might be other awards like the visual effects show.
Yeah.
Like I know Kubo for a fact won best animated picture in the visual effects.
And they should,
in the visual
that's
effects
really
award
impressive
ceremony, which it did because of the amount of effects that go into that movie. But something like Zootopia winning best animated picture, because it's such a broad category, it doesn't really paint the other films in a similar picture because there's only one category.
Yeah, and they're completely different types of movies.
Yeah.
Like, because Zootopia, like, I would not group Zootopia together with Kubo.
No.
At all. Like, they're both technically animated films, but I would not group them together.
Also, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure the Angry Birds film was also in that group. So where does that lie in there?
That lies
like
closer.
That's a different
that
section
lies,
of animation, I feel, than something like Kubo and
well, that lies
even
closer to
Zootopia
than Kubo.
It's computer animated versus hand animated, or I guess Kubo is a mix of digital and physical.
Yeah.
But still.
And the Angry Birds one was digital.
It's all digital, yeah.
Yeah. So it's more on the Zootopia, but it's not even close to the same kind of level.
They're for completely different audiences.
Yeah. But
I would argue.
I mean, you can have. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
it's not necessarily the Oscars.
Maybe it might be good to separate some of that out, but I don't think it's completely in the jurisdiction of the Oscars. And
I think if they just added maybe another category of best animated story and best animated, like best animation, that would work.
That would work
a lot more effective, because I think they have best animated feature film and best animated short film, and I think those are the only two categories they
which
have.
I don't think is enough.
Which I don't think is enough.
Because the medium is getting more robust.
Yes.
I mean, it's been robust for the past 2 years, but it's getting much more. One thing is getting much more realistic.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, we have visual effects that are next to reality.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where I think that we can definitely separate out the different types of animated films, but not in this Oscars. But I think Zootopia definitely deserved to win Best Animated Film.
Yes, because of the story, and even the visuals were still pretty.
The story, the visuals,
progressive.
It was all very good.
Yeah.
And I think it did bring the animation medium forward.
Not the original Zootopia concept that I still think would be a really cool idea and would love to see, but still a very good story nonetheless.
That's for another day.
Yeah.
And with that, thanks for listening to this episode of Mind Map. For updates on each episode, follow our Facebook page, and to get in touch with us directly, join our Facebook group. As always, check out new episodes every week on SoundCloud, iTunes, and the Google Play Store. We're also on YouTube 1 week later, so go ahead and check us out there. And we'll see you in the next one.